Good morning, everyone. If you would all turn on your microphones and we'll stand for the pledge and the prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please bow your heads for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you and we beseech you. First, we ask for your guidance. Help us to make the best decisions for the residents and taxpayers of Kosciuszko County, which includes all of our employees. And Lord, we ask a special blessing and wrap your protective arms around all of our first responders. Lord, please keep them all safe, including our military, and let them all go home to their significant others at the end of their work shift. And Lord, please, just thank you. Thank you for allowing us to live in this beautiful, wonderful community that we get to work and play and enjoy, and it's all your creation. We give you all the glory. We ask all of this in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Johnny. Okay, first off, we have a little bit of business to take care of from yesterday on the request from Reedy to move some funds. Let's take care of that before we start.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that these funds actually just be added into fund number 1138. So these funds are from the general fund capital outlay account, account 4,000. And there's different ones: land and improvements of 3,000, computer hardware of 1,200, furniture and fixtures of 2,000, emergency preparedness of 25,000, and then there's other equipment of 27, 3,000, and 20,000, and motor vehicles of 270,000, for a total of $623,900. So again, I would ask that we wouldn't necessarily move them at this time, but we're just leaving ourselves some options as far as budgeting when we make our final decisions. So we would move all those, or we would add those to CCD fund number 1138 for advertising purposes. And so I make that motion for these first.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, usual sign?
Before we vote,
Yes.
I'd just like to clarify that these funds will only remain in one of the two accounts. Just
Yeah,
clarification.
When we're
Thank you.
finalized, we'll
Yes.
decide where to have them.
I
Right.
just want that publicly stated.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, to add to that, I mean, this is only for advertising purposes that allow us options down the road.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I would like to make another
We-
motion.
I interrupted the vote.
Oh, sorry.
So I didn't vote because I interrupted the vote.
Okay.
So can we,
Usual sign?
thank you. Thanks. I
Unanimous?
did
Thank
it,
you.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay, and then, again, we need to add 1138-31170 needs increase to 43,600. We need that increase in the budget, so I'd make a motion for that.
Second.
we have a motion and a second, usual sign. Thank you.
And then another motion to add Fund 1000-36034-000-0009, which is GDI recon projects of $250,000, that to be added to the budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, usual sign. Thank you.
And then to add Fund 4900 and Fund 4900-31001 contractual services in the amount of $81,975.
We need a second.
We have-
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Those in favor?
Don't, Sue-Ann voted
And
for me.
then lastly, to increase fund or budget, the budget in Fund 1112-31151, LE data access contractual services to $122,000. I request that be added as well.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay,
Second.
we have a second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Let the record show that on all the items we just addressed, it was unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think, are we a little early? Do you want to go ahead and start the sheriff even though it's not 8:15? Or should we wait?
Well, the players are all here.
Pardon me?
The players are all here.
They're here.
Everybody's
They're
here?
here.
They're coming in droves.
Let's go. Yeah.
Sheriff, you're up.
Morning, Sheriff. Your backup is here.
Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Morning, Sheriff.
Hey, Chris.
I apologize, we
And
did,
we
I mean, you,
apologize. We need
Yeah.
another chair.
Oh,
No?
yeah, we do. We need
Okay.
2 more.
Yeah.
I'll get you a chair.
We just need another chair. We
morning.
just need one.
I'm Michelle.
they're camera shy.
Jim,
Thanks.
can I take it you like this?
Please turn your mics on.
You like this?
Can you turn your mics on
Yeah.
and then you have to pull them up so we're recording.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, Thursday. Sure.
Whenever you're ready, start presenting.
Michelle, you wanna, since you organize this packet, do you wanna start off and,
Is your mic on, Michelle?
It's not on. There you go.
There you go.
There, how's that?
Better.
Okay. Well, basically what I organized was just what was sent over to you. Obviously, this is my first time through, so I don't know if you guys have a certain order in which you want to do things, just the way the packet was given to you. I've kind of separated everything as far as any additional information you may require into separate folders so we can go to however you want to
Top
do
to
it.
bottom, however you
Yeah.
want to do it.
The first one in our book is 0013 jail.
Yeah.
And I do have, we did have a couple of, not so much in the jail, but we have a couple of changes in what we're going to ask for originally what we supplied. I'm going to go ahead and hand those out, just so you guys have those. And I think there's probably, okay, yeah, there's probably an understanding as to why a couple of those figures has changed. One would be the uniforms for the road officers. Due to the recent acquiring of 2 new SROs, we are asking for just additional couple thousand, like 2,000, which doesn't cover the cost, just a little portion of the cost to outfit those.
If you just spoke about an SRO, has Valley accepted their SRO at this time as a board?
so from what I'm understanding, there was one board member on the Tippy Valley School Board that had not attended an executive meeting a week prior. So he was a little behind the 8 ball in terms of understanding what the SRO completely was. So an effort not to prolong their board meeting last week, they decided to table it so he could cut up to speed. I was told and reassured multiple times by Superintendent Blaine Conley that there's not going to be any issues, that everyone's on board with it. They just need to get him on just where he understands it. So I'm still very optimistic. I guess my feelings as far as how it's going to affect us, it starts October 1. So as long as that baby's signed by October 1, then as far as I can see, we're in good shape. I have not heard from Warsaw Schools on, I think they have a September board meeting. It's just assuming until I hear something otherwise that it will go through as well.
Right, and I did speak to the board member in question, and I believe he's going to, they will go forward with it at this point. But there was a question out there as whether they might want to do something with a private service,
Okay,
kind of similar to what I hear Culver schools do. So,
okay, all right.
okay.
There is an issue with that, though, because that money is not in the budget for those 2 officers at all. So we need to do probably the same thing we just did with those others.
Yes.
Is this in your adjusted? Are those 2 in your adjusted, those numbers?
No,
in the-
those are just account balances. I was
Oh.
told that when I asked, obviously, again, I apologize, it's my first time through one of these. Becky said that I didn't really need to do anything with the salaries, that is kind of looked at separately. I only did the, not necessarily separately, but that they put a number to figure into it, and then we kind of go over it here, so, yes.
Unless you're adding a person, then you have.
Well, that just happened last week.
So- And I know that you, Sue Ann mentioned in the council meeting that there would need to be appropriation there. And I didn't think about this, but it made sense after you said it for the full amount, and then we'd be kind of like the grants, and be reimbursed the 80% from the schools. The question I do have, and I know we're not there yet, so I do apologize. When we get to our vehicle budget, part of those contracts with these schools is a vehicle's built into it. However, we kind of, we did it through over a 4-year deal for both vehicles. But we're in a position right now, and I'm gonna come before you guys at the next council meeting, explain what I just did. We had to purchase a vehicle at a commissary for a transport vehicle, and there were some safety precautions there and everything else to go in with it. But when we're looking at the long game, we're really in a spot here on vehicles. So we're gonna need, I guess the question is, how do we adjust our vehicle budget line for the new deputies that we're gonna have? Because we're gonna be in a position here where we're gonna need vehicles moving forward for next year, when it's spread out over that 4 years. I guess it's just, I don't know.
Do you know what the lead time is? Because I know in other vehicles in other areas, there's a huge lead time.
Yeah.
Do you have you
Well, to give
checked?
you, so to give you an idea, we're just now getting our Dodge Durangos in, and we ordered those in January.
So 9 months?
Could be. We hope, Kim, that a lot of that has to do with being, the state bids were closed by the time I took office, where traditionally you would make a lot of your purchases like this time of year, September, October.
Right, in the
So it's
budget
what we're getting
time,
ready to
budget time.
Correct. And then you can start expecting those cars maybe spring, early summer. So that's what we're kind of
6
hoping
months,
for.
maybe.
Right.
But with the shortages, do you think that that's going to be the same?
Well, my
Because
hope-
I mean, like, because there's kind of a shortage of stuff right now.
Well, there is, and everything, it's all up in the air on what's going to be available. If our Explorer's going away, are they still going to be here? You're going to be able to get Durangos. I hear they're doing something different with Chargers. So it's a big game, and Mike Mulligan's got his hands full trying to figure that mess out. But I will tell you that he's closely watching it. We're going to be able to get into the state bid portion of it, where last year we didn't have that luxury because we just weren't in office.
Right.
And it was closed by the time we took over. But our hope is we'll land on some vehicles, whether that's 5 that we've traditionally been doing, or if this year we can make a 6th purchase. And then hopefully by end of spring, early summer, we can have those rolling, and we'll just make do with what we have as far as the ones that we're getting now. We'll keep those other ones and have as spare cars and put the new deputies in until we can start rotating them out.
Okay, thank you.
So Jim, your 270,000 that's budgeted for vehicles.
Which budget are you on?
Yeah, I screwed that all
That's
up
okay,
because
you're
I started
fine.
Can
talking
you
about
just
a different.
tell us the number,
I
and then we can
apologize.
follow you?
It's the very last item on the sheriff's budget.
So it would be 0019.
Okay, got it.
Sheriff's budget.
Got it.
I just
So
like to
that-
follow the lines.
That 270 represents 5 cars.
The-
That would be, yeah, that'd be 5 cars.
So if we took 270 and divided by 5 and multiplied that times 6,
Okay,
we would be able to add the extra car there.
okay.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Okay,
Uh-huh.
what,
If we take the 270, divide by 5,
Uh-huh.
and multiply times 6, instead of
Oh, yeah,
270, you'd
right,
have
yeah.
whatever the difference is.
Right.
And then we would also need to add the amount.
It's and the amount of the stuff that goes on it, right? Or does that include, it's at 54,000, but is that including the equipment?
That is just the car.
That's just the
That is just
car?
car, yeah.
So then you have to add one more.
And then we have the second vehicle for the second SRO, and that was the question, do we budget that up front? How does the council feel about that portion of that contract being front-loaded, basically, to where we can get those cars? Because ideally, those cars will last those deputies for the 4 years to fulfill that contract, but
So
if that makes sense.
what's he going to do for a car for the years that he doesn't have a car? Just asking.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're saying, do we buy it up front?
Yeah.
If we don't buy it, what's he going to use for a car?
So we're going to have to, whatever we do, even while we're waiting on the new cars or whatever you give me permission to do here, we're going to have to make what we have work, and it's just going to be really tight, and you just hope that we don't hit a bunch of deer,
Don't have an
basically.
extra-
Yeah, we just don't
has
have,
spares.
the motor pool is very thin.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
And another question. Okay, so I'm looking at your 0019, the sheriff budget.
Sorry, that's just kind of a breakdown of what we put together for the SROs. So it'll show you the vehicle price, the outfitting price.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so my question is, okay, we have 54,000 per car without stuff,
Sit closer so you can help me get up in front of me.
but I don't see anywhere where we have the other additional equipment added. At which line is that in?
Okay.
If you're looking at that
Where's the
account,
equipment?
0019,
Right here. You're right here.
so
Other equipment.
is it under other equipment? So is the 20,000 spread over the 5 cars?
So we make that work as the best we can, and
Okay.
once that budget is depleted, oftentimes I think traditionally they've used tapped
Just
into
use- go
commissary
into
or whatever.
commissary?
yeah,
Okay.
To make it work.
Okay.
It's never truly been enough, it's expensive to outfit cars, especially when you start talking about computers and everything else, but you easily add another 10, Chris? 10,000?
More than that.
This
I
one,
think
it's about
8,000 is what
18,
we
it's
kind
about
of-
18,000 on this one,
Yeah.
With the computer and the.
with the computer and the everything, body cam and the storage and,
Yes, with the cameras.
62
with the
too.
Computer, with the.
Yeah.
Lights, emergency equipment, radio, everything. You could easily hit another $20,000 above it.
okay.
Some of that.
You're about 19.
Some of that is offset with the Systems Administration Office. Some of that equipment comes through there.
Okay,
Some of it comes through, we make it work
So,
through
as
commissary.
far
we
as
make
the
it through-
money-
We rob Peter to pay Paul all the time,
okay.
yes.
So basically, if we added about 120,000 to that line item, that would, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to approve it,
But if,
That'd put us in a lot better shape.
that would be.
That would cover
that would
all
get
the
you
cars
into
and
two
the,
vehicles.
That would keep our-
accessories that you needed
And-
for
That
the
would keep our
cars.
normal fleet plus the 2 new cars for the 2 new SROs.
Okay.
Got it. The one, and so instead of the 270, you want
390.
390.
Do we need to make a motion? Do we need to make,
Do the same-
No,
just for the
we need to do
budget,
the same
for
thing
advertising
to add
purposes?
it.
Oh, for advertising purposes, we.
yeah, we need to make a motion and add it, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
for
I'm gonna-
advertising purposes.
I'm going to make a motion that we move the requested budget item 45001, motor vehicles, to 390,000.
That's 46001.
Oh, I'm sorry, 46001.
Okay,
So you're adding what, 120?
Yeah,
so you're adding 120,000 to line.
46001
Okay.
on the 0019 Sheriff County General location.
My question is, can this motion be dependent upon the SRO
Yes.
officers?
And
That
I
would be-
would-
that
I
would
would
be
make
fair.
the, I would
Both
make the
schools?
motion contingent that the SRO is hired.
Either one.
Okay, to summarize,
Okay. I'm going to make a motion for 46001 to be adjusted to $390,000 for their budget of location 0019 Sheriff, contingent on each SRO being hired per car.
do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, usual sign. Thank you. And this is only for, I want to make clear, this is only for advertising purposes for now.
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you.
And
Thank
then
you
the
for-
deputies,
Thanks for the breakdown.
we need to
Yeah.
do the
Yeah.
same thing for
yeah.
the deputies because they're not included.
Do you want to, did somebody else want to make that?
You want to do that, Suzanne?
Where would the 2 SROs, what would their wage be the same as the other SROs that are there?
Yes, deputies, deputy salary.
And that figure is in that last handout. We kind of broke down, like I said, that's what we used as far as getting the schools 80%, and our 20% was what the county is covering for those. Should be 2 pages, but that kind of just has everything.
You have it in the red.
Yeah,
You have the
everything's just
school
kind of broke down
contribution
there.
And the county contribution on that 2-page handout.
Yeah, but there's-
So it looks like the total, Sue Ann, is going to be 110,474.23
And that's without adjustments for the
Right.
next year's
Yes.
wage.
times 2.
So.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that's
It's
broken down
actually,
for
it's
you.
actually
Not for
400,
wages.
487,889.83 for 4 years.
No, you're only adding for wages.
Yeah, we're
because
only
all the
doing
rest
one
of
year.
this money
Okay.
comes out of different funds.
Right.
So it would be 54,975 twice.
Is it 121,972.46?
And which line item would that be,
Is that
Sue
it
Ann?
right there?
And which
Have to
budget?
be- It would have to be 2 new line items to establish deputies.
121. For the yearly, for 2?
I, for one, can tell you it's a beautiful sunny day in Indiana.
Is it coming right in on you,
Oh,
Mike?
yeah.
Can you isolate which window? Or is it
Yeah, it's
front?
right in the middle.
Can't do
It's a
anything
fixed
about
spot
that.
at this
There's
point.
curtains on the other.
Is,
It'll go away quickly.
Jim, is the number the 121,972.46 for the 2 officers per year?
No, that's
No.
not what we need.
Oh,
You
No.
gotta have what their actual wages are gonna be for
Oh.
this year.
Yeah.
So that would be
Oh, well, that would be-
109,950.
What,
54,975.
which line item, Sue Ann?
Are you replacing the 2? If they're moved to SRO, are you replacing them
Yes,
with?
it'd be 2
Yeah.
additional hires.
So we have to add 2 additional people?
Yeah.
Yeah, just 2 additional deputy spots is what it would be. We're
Which won't
hoping
be
to fill
hired until
those.
those contracts are signed, just
Right.
for peace of mind.
Thank you.
We'll make sure that,
Thank you.
we'll make sure they're signed.
I love it when you play
Of
by the
which,
rules.
in reality, we're only coming up with 20% of that.
Okay,
Correct.
to
Right.
follow what you have in your budget, you requested for the other SROs 60,427, 472.
472. Okay, got
That's what the budget request was.
So would,
I didn't do anything with
Yes.
salaries, but this is what they're talking about.
Was that for the SRO specifically?
For the County General 46001, location 19. I got the motion and the second, but I don't know if you all made a vote.
oh, we need, no, we did not vote. We should vote.
No, because we're discussing.
Yes, we're still discussing.
Okay, wait a minute.
It's okay.
No, no, no.
No, that's.
We voted on the 46001 of cars.
Yeah,
That's the
we
card.
voted
yeah.
on
voted.
46001, I believe.
Did.
There's a
Unanimous.
usual sign, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
We just haven't
And it was
voted on the
unanimous?
deputies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can have cars, you can't have people to drive them. It's very simple.
It's how we save money here.
Do automated cars.
They'll look good, right? The cars will look good.
Okay.
Sit
So
them in
are we
strategic
on the same
neighborhoods
page now?
with the
Sue Ann?
lights on.
Yeah, just
I think so.
Okay,
So
we're ready.
I would move that we add 2 positions at 70,472, which is high, obviously, but that will get them into the budget process, that we add 2 more things to the sheriff's existing budget under the 019 sheriff budget.
And will that
Second,
motion be contingent on getting the
Contingent
SROs?
on 2.
Okay,
second.
okay, we have a motion and a second about the hiring of additional officers only if the SRO program goes through. All those in favor?
Raise your hand high.
Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next.
It's Chicago,
We're going
Angie.
to start over at the jail?
You tell me what you
Sorry
want and I'll
about
pull
that.
up the
Kinda got
paperwork.
bogged
That's
down when I
what,
heard SRO.
okay.
Okay, jail.
you got that.
Jail's
We'll go back to the jail.
We're going to skip the 10,000 series, okay? That's all wages. That could be funny, but
Yeah.
it's probably not the place.
You just want the 0013.
Well, when-
Yeah, 0013.
Yeah.
Are we backing up to 00?
0013.
21014 would
Well,
be
they're wanting
the
jail,
starting
right?
point.
Is that
Yeah.
this right here?
The jail budget.
We have to feed the prisoners.
We do?
The first line.
Yes, we do.
Okay, then.
While we're on the jail portion, medical, we did raise
Yeah.
16%. And we have, it's been brought to my attention in the last week or so, and I think Cheryl could probably speak a little bit more to this. She's been working diligently with the accountant with QCC, who is the medical company that we contract with and have for several years now. And Cheryl's done a great job on paying our monthly bill like she always has since she's been employed with the sheriff's office. But they had a discrepancy on a $34,000 bill. And this was just brought, again, to our attention here last week. Cheryl was adamant that it wasn't our issue, and she's correct in the fact that it wasn't our issue. Unfortunately, back in 2020, for some reason, only 11 of the 12 payments were made to QCC. So when they brought their new accountant in February, going through the books, from what I understand, if I'm wrong and how I understand this, tell me. And Cheryl and their accountant traced it back to exactly what I said during COVID in 2020. Was it a July payment wasn't made?
I believe it was August.
Okay, an August payment in 2020 was not made. Again, wasn't this administration, but I feel like if we can't be $34,000 in arrears, I need some guidance on how to adjust this. We have been in communication with QCC. Michelle has emailed their company, and they are understanding that we're in a budget time right now and that we can't just write a check that we don't have, so
Is
next year.
it a legitimate bill that actually happened, that services were actually rendered to wherever?
Yeah, so it's part of our contract with them. So the annual contract that we have with QCC's broke out to 12 installments, and there's just one of those installments in 2020 just wasn't paid. Is that how? Is that
Yes, that's correct. I ran the ledgers and went back all the way through the beginning of 2019 through the present, because when they originally contacted me, they gave me this whole accounting from 2022 and said, you owe this much and these bills aren't paid. Well, after going through a couple of different people, we figured out that it was a bill from 2020 that wasn't paid, and then every payment since then, they were applying to the oldest invoice instead of the invoice that's indicated on the check, that the treasurer's office cuts always has the invoice number. So it took several months to kind of sort it out, and they had a new accountant come in. She went through all their records and figured out that this invoice from 2020 had not been paid. Whether it had been received, I'm not aware. I wasn't paying bills at that time. It was a claim through the county. But it is an actual monthly payment. I've gone through the entire ledger, and it was never paid.
Okay.
So it is owing, but we didn't know until this year,
So maybe we could go back, and it was from what year?
2020.
Oh, I was going to say if it was just last year. We could have encumbered.
Right, right. So they weren't aware of it because they just kept moving payments back.
So her account number that she was aligning her checks were aligning on our end, but on their end, it was always paid in arrears, and finally, it just came to a head, and we had no knowledge of it. And Cheryl did a good job finally getting to it. It's just unfortunate that.
I'm concerned that did not show up in a monthly statement.
Well-
Where they were actually, I mean, usually you kind of get a statement that would show the payment and what it was applied to.
I kind of said the same thing when I first heard it. Like, I have some
They'd probably
questions
just
about
send
their
a
account.
bill. Instead
due
of
to-
a statement, they probably just send a bill.
Yeah, due to the
Correct.
way
They're-
their accounting practices are, when we would send them a check, it would have an invoice number on it. They weren't matching it up. They were just
Yeah.
paying the oldest debt, basically. So that's how it just spiraled from year to year to year without being caught. And they're like, hey, your account is this much, and once Cheryl tracked it back and their new account manager there tracked it back, they both came to the same conclusion that in 2020, there was only 11 of the 12 monthly payments made, and that's why they realized that she hadn't been, the old accountant hadn't been applying the check with the invoice number on it to the correct invoice. They were just kind of paying the oldest bill when the money came in. And
And no
just,
late fees were incurred?
No.
That's
No.
very kind of them,
No, it-
actually.
it is.
For that kind of money.
It's puzzling. I guess the first thing that troubles me is it's 3 years old.
Yeah.
As of this month. And the fact that it was caught in an audit or
Well, I-
their
we had a
audit?
new
They had a
account
new
manager come in.
come in,
Okay.
and maybe they've had other issues,
Okay.
but they started going through it and finally, hey, there's a problem here, and
And there is evidence
I'm gonna hand that to
that we owe it.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
pay it, or
Well,
there's no clear
there's
check
no-
that
Yeah.
showed
I was
that.
gonna
There's-
say,
there's no
I
check
don't think
that-
we have an
Right,
an
it's-
option if
we only
if
show
we're
that we paid
obligated.
11 out of the 12.
It's paid out of our,
Is that in the budget?
Well, that 16% reflects that. It was going to be increased, and I think this is,
Well,
It
we
was
were
not.
going to ask for a 16% of 630, which is the paperwork you guys got. But last week, after tracking this, it finally got, Cheryl's been working on it since February. We finally found the problem. Cheryl was able to confirm that back in 2020, only 11 of the 12 months were paid. Because it was a work in progress between Cheryl and their accountant, because she came in saying, hey, your account is behind. And we're not behind. Well, it was because we were making all the payments, but they were always behind
Right.
according to what she had, because they weren't applying them to the correct
but
invoice.
the
So,
16%.
Can I just clarify this then? So we're talking about Fund Number 36038, Medical for Prisoners, and you guys have requested 630 on your original budget, but what you're saying now is you want to increase that to 665 to cover that.
665 to help.
And you don't have the money in any other bucket you can pull from this year and not put it in the '24 budget.
That would be quite the strain to be able to do that even at a commissary at this point with other contracts and things that we're looking at.
What's your balance in commissary?
Well, right now, it's just probably just shy of 200,000. We just purchased the vehicle.
Because you're purchasing vehicles.
Correct.
And do you have definite plans for that 200,000 or?
Well, we do with the jail uniforms and everything else. Now, I'm not opposed to hearing some ideas, but
To me, it
It's
would be cleaner if we kept it this year
Yes.
and you
Okay.
did an additional appropriation request,
okay.
and then you could back it up with the documentation. It would be paid as soon as the pay cycle can go through and after it's approved. That makes much more sense to me than raising a budget.
Okay. Well, to be completely honest with you, that was my plan to go before you. The budget meeting came first. We knew we were going to talk, I was going to be in front of all of you, we're going to be talking about this medical, so I really just needed guidance. If that's how you prefer me to do it, we can get on the agenda and come before you and.
What do you guys think?
I think that's,
I agree with Joni, actually.
I
I think it's
agree
going to
with
be
Joni,
cleaner.
too.
And still, because you still need more money next year in the '24 budget in your medical. You're still going to need that increase, but if we do it this year, we have a little bit of extra money this year, so. with
Biggest
the
reservation I
ARPA,
have is 3 years.
I feel the same way. It's frustrating because we feel like we've done a really good job and doing everything we need to, but it is our office and we need to make it right.
And, has there been any negotiations as far as a possible share in the responsibility here with them?
Not as of yet. Like I said, Cheryl had been going back and forth with her. They were trying to figure it out. It was just confirmed last week. I did reach out via email and just said, we had a budget meeting. We don't have anything. They were able to make a note on our account that they wouldn't expect payment until January on this. But we haven't had the chance to actually sit down and negotiate anything.
I'm not opposed to doing that.
I'm actually surprised they haven't
It's a
charged us a
contract
service
money.
charge.
I was going to say.
Right, I mean, we
Well,
owe
my
the money.
company, I'd be charging them a late
I don't know what the statute of limitations is on that, or if there is one. And in the past, when I've received bills over 2 years old, for whatever reason, we've always come to some sort of an agreement. Personal business.
We owe this.
It happens.
That's kind of where I've just kind of laid over on it and decided to come before you guys for some assistance on it. I just, if we owe it, we owe it, and the proof's there that we only made 11 out of the 12 installments. It should have been taken care of in 2020 like the rest of it, just for whatever reason it wasn't. I am with Kim. I'm thankful they haven't accrued all this interest and everything else that they probably could have done. I think that speaks to the good relationship that we have with QCC, and they do a good job. Years ago, back in Tony's days, the nurses and everything belonged to, they were all county employees, so that would be another, probably a little bit more of a headache. So we do have a good relationship, we do have a good relationship with them. It's just an unfortunate situation. I think it just needs to be made right.
Yeah, and I totally agree, it needs to be made right, and I realize we could negotiate, but bottom line, we owed the money, we skipped a payment.
And we want to keep that relationship in
So-
great standing.
So you're clear that the mistake was on our end?
Yes,
You can prove that the payment was never sent?
I can. Unfortunate as it was in 2020, it's all right there. We have no 12th payment to show that they were right on it, and we own it.
You know, that's the ethical thing to do.
I definitely agree with Joni, though, that it's something we should take care of, not
Can-
in the
can-
budget
can-
cycle.
Can we make a motion, since it is a meeting, to just go ahead and do that?
No.
Since it's, we have to do it in the next
No,
meeting.
we can't even do it in September. The quickest we could do it is October because an additional appropriation has to be advertised.
Got it.
September
Okay.
20th, they would have to have your paperwork.
We'll
in
get on your
the
agenda in
auditor's office.
October, and we'll bring it before you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And refresh our memories then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because we'll have slept.
I'm sure.
Since then.
As soon as I start talking about it, I remember.
Thank you.
And Mike, just because you raised the question about the commissary fund, we do have this, I'm going to pass this out for you to reference. In blue, you'll see highlighted bills that we've already started paying out of commissary this year
Okay.
because the funds are depleted.
Okay,
That way you see that we have been making some large payments.
sure.
Thank you for bringing all this
Yeah,
extra paperwork.
thank you.
It's
We
very
we
appreciated.
really appreciate that.
Thanks. Oh, wow. I wasn't-
Just,
Yeah, we're-
I know you're
we're-
new, I know you're
on the
new, but
paperwork.
you're doing a great job. You're new, but you're doing a great job.
When we're tired, we'll
I got a good team. so
Group
I'm-
effort. Cheryl's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, so.
Okay. Back to the jail budget.
No, that's mine. I was writing notes.
Back to the jail.
Back to the jail.
So I understand that we'll just, with that, assuming that that goes through with I can take that back down to where we had it at the,
The 6:30?
Yeah,
you got that?
yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. This is kind of off base here a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the commissary request for payments. What is Bob Barker Company?
What?
What is
They
Bob
sup-
Barker? Oh,
They
the
supply like mattresses for the jail. I mean,
Price
there's
is
a lot.
Right? Is that what you're thinking?
The shower sandals, different things.
It caused me
It's
to
all
chuckle a
supplies
bit.
for the jail. Yeah.
I'd change my name.
So, okay, the blue is
Has
just,
already been paid out of commissary.
Okay.
Meaning there wasn't enough funds to pay those bills.
Okay.
Those are the ones where, once the budget's
yeah.
been used up, that I've had to pay the normally budgeted bills out of commissary.
So the
Okay,
cleanest
thank
way is
you.
an
Starting
additional
in March.
appropriation.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, what?
Thanks so
The
much.
cleanest way is going to be an additional appropriation.
Yeah.
Have it done, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
Okay,
the
moving
budget
along.
number is
Thank you.
indicated next to it,
Okay.
which budget it would have been paid out of.
Thank
You
for
need to speak
clarifying.
directly into the mic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
because I can't hardly
I'm
hear
sorry,
you.
Joni.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's okay, but, you know, some of us are getting older and,
I just, next,
Tony.
everything that's highlighted in blue next to it, I have the actual budget account number, what it would have been paid out of, what budget it would have been paid out of if we had funds remaining.
we do appreciate you paying things out of the commissary fund.
Yes.
Well,
It helps all of us eventually.
right. And so we just don't want anybody to think that we're asking for more than what we need. We do supplement a lot of things with the commissary account. And, you know, obviously, like I said, we've started a couple months ago on several budgets having to pay some bills out of it.
I have a question. It's on 714. I believe it was the body cams. Did you not get ARPA money for that? Or didn't you get other funds for that grant?
So that was for the jail. It wasn't a 100% match.
Okay, so you had to supplement it?
Correct.
Okay,
It was
And-
different than the ARPA grant.
Yeah,
It was
the
a
ARPA,
separate
the
one.
ARPA one paid for all the ones for the merit
for the mayor?
deputies.
Okay.
But we
not
also
for-
updated the body cameras for the jail, which we're super proud of, because they all
Yeah,
like them and
exactly.
they don't want to go do their job without them, so that's good. But
Excellent.
that was just a That's like a 50/50 grant,
And
wasn't it?
work
Yeah.
release. Well,
And
50
work
is
release.
only for
Yeah.
the cameras.
And just for the cameras. Yeah, there was some catches there. I mean, it was great that they brought some money to it, but like all the accessories that you needed to make those cameras work wasn't
Weren't
included in
included,
that. It was just the camera itself.
It's like
And it was
buying a
just half
video
of it.
game.
Yeah, but that's what the commissary
Player.
accounts for, and we're able to outfit all those
Yeah.
guys with the body cameras, so, yeah.
Okay, I've kind of lost track here. Where are we headed next?
Well, I'm willing to answer any other questions on the jail if you have them.
Can I ask a
So
quick
this would be
question?
0019 next?
Oh, no, we're still on.
We haven't done 1-3 yet.
001. Can I ask a quick question?
We're stalled on
On the medical for prisoners?
Yes.
Because you guys do have, I mean, I know we kind of jumped to the other issue, but there is a significant increase, and I was just curious as to that.
They've, QCCs, they sent all sheriffs, I think probably 70% of the sheriffs in Indiana use QCC. They enlightened us that there is going to be an increase
Because
to be expected moving forward.
nurses are making
Nurses are
bank.
making, yeah, and they're hard to keep.
Yep.
And supplies are going up, and everything else. So this, to answer your question, that partially, that increase is going to reflect on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any additional questions on this one?
I make a motion that we approve.
We're not.
No, we're not
We're not motioning.
Oh, no, we're not doing that?
No.
Never mind.
Sorry. You know what? I'm just trying to rush this process. That's all I can say. I just want to move on.
Okay, so now we're ready for 0019, is that
Yep.
correct?
This one.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Mike. Just,
On,
I kind of started all that, so I'm sorry.
I think we added the legal services to this budget, right? Because it wasn't a budgeted item. I think years ago, there was always a budgeted item in the sheriff's budget for legal services, and I'm not sure why, but just like, at least this budget we're working out of now didn't have one. So we've been using commissary for a lot of that. My desire was to have a budget in there. I
Oh,
don't
okay,
foresee it going over 5,000.
okay, but you said you have expenses, but 31002 doesn't have any expenses to date. Expend-
it out of commissary.
Because we've been paying that out of commissary. There's no budgeted item in there to take it
Yeah,
out of,
it
so.
had been there
How much have you been-
previously,
how much
but
have
for
you
some
paid
reason
in
they haven't.
23 expend?
Well, this year I expected it was going to be a little bit more because I just didn't know what I was doing, right, as sheriff at the beginning. So we're well under that number right now, probably 3,500, I would say.
Do you have someone on retainer that you're
Yes.
utilizing?
I do, down in Indianapolis. Yeah,
I appreciate your humble comment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Spend.
questions or comments on 0019?
No, how are the canines working out?
Canines?
Canines.
Canines are working good. We do have one that has the onsets, beginning stages of maybe some hip dysplasia, which is common for those breeds. But Travis Shively's doing a remarkable job working closely with the vets and getting the medicine that we can for the fur ball, and hopefully we can take some of that pain away and keep them working, because we have a really good group of dogs. And Buck, the jail dog's doing a great job. Just talked to his handler this morning, and he's gone above and beyond anything I would have ever imagined. They're in and out of the courtrooms every morning that he's working prior to his shifts, and making sure everyone's safe inside there. So that's good.
I should know this. Account 23021 and 36449, both canine expenses. It appears like they're identical. Do we have 8 dogs or 4 dogs, or why? I guess I'm asking.
Well,
So one is for supplies, one is, you got pet food, vet bills, and Cheryl, how do you split those out?
Yeah, I believe it was the county that asked maybe last year or the previous year to split those out,
Okay.
to separate them. The supplies would be the food for the dogs, any type of harnesses or collars or equipment that they need. And then the expenses are more the vet bills
Okay.
and things like that.
And then I have a question on item 22022. It's the uniforms. And I noticed that this year you've already spent 27,000 and you're hiring more people, and you've lowered it to 20,000, like a over $7,000 decrease. Is there a reason?
I could
for that?
probably explain that. 2023 budget was actually 18,000.
Okay.
The reason in this budget projection, it shows up like that, was because there was money transferred into that account last year to pay matching on a grant
Okay.
from 2022 that hadn't been paid. Becky Dye had discovered it at the beginning of 2023. It was a grant for bulletproof vests, and it was a matching grant. Commissary paid part of it, and then the other part was a matching grant, and we had paid the commissary part, and then they paid the company out of the grant fund. And for some reason, our office didn't pay our matching part of the grant, which was $9,117.
Okay.
So at the beginning of this year, to make the paper trail for the county, Becky needed to transfer it into our uniforms budget and then pay the grant out of that. So it inflates that number artificially. It really
okay.
was only 18,000.
Okay,
Okay.
well,
Sorry,
I just
that was a
didn't,
long-
I just
long
didn't want you guys
answer.
to be shorted, so.
Right, we thought that question might come up because it looks suspicious.
Yes, thank you.
But yeah, and we've already, as you could see from those other papers, we've already paid
Okay.
several thousand for uniforms out of
I
commissary.
just want you to have enough money.
Right.
I will say, and now that we're on this, looking at the gas and oil, 250s, that obviously, we all agree that that's probably a shot in the dark. I will say that with 2 additional deputies and 2 cars, obviously, it's going to go up a little bit. We are sitting pretty decent right now, but I will tell you that I am keeping a very close eye on what the gas prices are doing. I get a printout every month on our mileage and whatnot, but that is one that I think is probably going to give us all anxiety just because we don't know what the future holds on it, so,
Electric.
well,
Yeah.
okay.
I kind of have a silly question. You don't have any, in 22027, you don't have any amounts and haven't had in ammunition. Where does that come from? Where did those expenses go to? How is that paid?
Previously, we used the
Gun permit.
gun permit, which
Okay.
we no longer allowed to
Right.
charge for the
Exactly.
gun. The state has eliminated those fees. So we're just working with that fund that has been previously.
What's the balance in that fund? And do we need to start budgeting? Because that could be something that's like golden.
That's a good Cheryl question.
We just want
I'll
to make
find
sure
that.
you have
I
enough
can tell you
balls.
that.
Yeah, we just,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I understand.
Right.
We appreciate it.
And it's a good retirement plan.
The current balance in the gun permits fund is $20,180, and that's split between supplies, ammunition, and training. So we still have some to use, but there's no more going into it, like Michelle said, and we're using that up.
Any idea what the actual cost is per year?
Do you have it in front of you?
I do not have that in front of me. No, I could find it, but
I
would
can
have to-
say
I would have to run the ledger on that.
Yeah, in speaking with the officers that, typically make those types of purchases, I do know that we never budgeted enough. Again, that's something we supplemented with commissary funds. So the fact that even if we budgeted the remaining balance, then obviously we'd have to supplement it next year to make enough purchases for the year.
So maybe, is there any way to track that?
I-
To get that to us
I
sometime?
could say that I do have the beginning balance of 2023 was
perfect.
35,000, and right now we're sitting at 20,000.
15, and that's in 6 months.
Yeah, 2/3 of the way through the year.
So we're
That's
gonna need.
that's at the end of August, so that's at 8 months.
Any additional questions or comments?
I have one quick question about your gas and oil expenses.
Sure.
Is there an opportunity to contract gas? Can you guys do that through the highway department or anything like that? To
You know,
try to save money
Chris would
on
be a
that?
better one to talk to. I remember he's a dinosaur in this department, so they used to have pumps out in the parking lot, so.
At one point, we did.
Okay,
That's when we had the pumps out front. Tony remembers that. There was, none of us really wanted to get rid of that. I mean, we liked having the pumps right out in the parking lot. But there was a lot of expenses that went with having the actual equipment to handle the
tank and the
tank
ground.
and
The
all
tank
that
in the
out.
ground, those, but I tell you what,
Yeah,
the,
And that's
Those-
when we switched over to the card programs.
Okay.
As far as how well that worked, I think for us, it worked well. But I think the county itself just went away from it.
This Wex card system that we're on now seems to work good because you're not forced to, I gotta get Netting Green because that's the only gas station that, or whatever. It works
Yeah.
wherever the guys are and they're all over the.
I guess that's
the-
true,
The
too.
county. So I mean, that would be a little difficult if we were forced to just use one just because of the
Yeah,
large.
it's like the
but
highway
yeah, how
department or
big the
something like
county
that.
is
And I
and
think the
stuff.
Wex gives a discount too.
I think you're right, Tony. Actually, when I see that printout of each month, I think there is a discount in there.
I was just curious.
And
'cause
it never
people
was
that-
pure. Even when we bought in bulk,
Okay.
we still had to have gas cards because of Syracuse, Napanee, Silver Lake. If you couldn't make it back here, you still had to hit a regular gas station. So
Yeah.
it never was 100% even back then.
Chris, if you would like to go back there and pull up a folding chair, you're more
Yes,
than welcome.
please,
to.
please do that.
Right over
There's a
there.
folding chair right back there somewhere.
I do have a comment on the 2023 budget for gas and oil. That was artificially lowered because of that grant also, because that's where the transfer came from. So it really was 250,000.
Oh, okay.
So we're only going from 250 to 257.5.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very conservative.
oh, okay.
It's a
So
guess.
it was at
It was at
250,
250 for
right.
2023.
Well, again, that was before the two.
Right.
When we prepared this, that was before I even settled anything with the school, so I don't, it's,
Okay, are we ready to move forward?
okay.
Wait, I have a,
Uniforms?
I have a question. I'm sorry. I have a question on 35009, which is the maintenance agreement. So we're increasing that by 12,000. Are we adding a different, or is that just the contracts going up, or which maintenance agreement is that, or?
Yes.
I mean, it's $12,000 more.
It's-
It's like doubling, more than doubling.
Well, Michelle helped me out here, but it's several different maintenance. And that was one of those things I was speaking to, that it's just enough to take the edge off, but a lot of those is taken care of by commissary. So if you think about, like our body scanner, that's so important to the jail, it's a
Oh, absolutely.
$12,000 a year
Contract.
contract.
Right.
I mean, just so we have the most updated version of everything. And then there's some additional expenses that go in with it, the fingerprint machine.
Right.
You wouldn't like the numbers if I gave you the true numbers to cover all of our maintenance agreements. I'm just trying to take the edge off a little bit of what we're absorbing through the commissary.
Dues and subscriptions, I mean, you've got programs detectives use, $4,800 a year. And it's just throughout the system, obviously as technology advances.
Right.
You need more and more tools to be efficient in your job. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of that. And there's a lot of good programs out there that.
It's just everything is expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, unless
I
there's
have
any-
one more question.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Are we supposed to be trying to adjust these to at least consider? No. Sue Ann's shaking her head at me adamantly. No.
No,
we have one.
we were only adjusting what they didn't have high enough,
Which,
because we can't consider it if it's not high enough.
but ammo's not high enough, gas and oil's not high enough.
Right.
What I'm getting at is,
Oh.
we're setting them up to request additional appropriations for the
Exactly.
year by not increasing their budget.
I agree with that totally, because like ammo, if you're at 30,000 this year, and you have 20,000 in the bank, I mean, you're gonna need another 30,000 for 2024.
Does that run in cycles? That would be my question. I mean, obviously, it's probably buy in bulk.
So-
And does that run in cycles? And
Well, ammo there for a while was going really high.
it's ridiculous, ridiculous.
Yeah, and then we also have something that the guys have been, they've approached me on it, is updating our firearms. Now, it's not a complete purchase because you will get something back for the ones that we have, whether you sell them back to the deputies or you trade them in, whatever the trade-in value we get. Traditionally, the department has offered the deputies, if you want to buy this gun back, this is what we're going to get from the dealer.
Right.
If you want to, whatever. So you save a little bit that way, but I mean, there are expenses that could be down the line. And if I'm hearing you and you want me to give you a number on that budget item, we can. Cheryl.
I would think you'd want to put 30 or 35,000 in that budget item for '24. If we're going to use most of it this year by the end of '23, if we're going to be down another 15 grand and then we'll have 5 grand left, that's not going to go very far.
That's what Cheryl and I had just researched. I messaged Matt Holderman, who handles our firearms, asked him how much he thought it would cost for just ammunition per year to budget. Of course, his answer is 20,000 would be nice, but he's made 15,000 work for this year. So his bare minimum that he can get by on ammunition a year is $15,000 at the price it is right now.
Well,
And that's just the ammunition.
right.
And the reason this is the issue is because they're used to that
Right.
35,000 automatically being brought down from that fee, and they've just been working through that, and now there's not the fee there anymore. And that's why it was never budgeted before.
Right.
So the short answer is on the ammo, the wish list would be 20 and the need is at least 15.
Well, given what your explanation, I think Joni has an excellent point,
Yes.
that we need to
We need to put it in the
increase
budget.
that line item. So it's going to head off additional appropriations down the
So,
road.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
We don't want you
Then
to not
also-
have bullets.
And did you also want to do something on gas, Joni, since you
Yeah,
brought
I'd
that up
say
as far
so.
as gas? Because if we add 2 new vehicles, we're going to have to pay for 2 vehicle gassing them up, right?
That's, in my experience with our business, that's a moving target that can swing $8,000-10,000 a month easily with any kind of volume. So I agree with the sheriff there that this is the best educated guess at this time, because there's so many outlying factors that go into this figure, so. I guess if there had to be an additional appropriation, if refineries shut down, OPEC starts raising prices, we get that, and that may be a rare, occasion or an occasion where you would have to come for additional appropriation.
Yeah. And again, I stay close, watching that, and I'll kind of keep you guys abreast on where we're at on it. Once and it's hard, it's a guess on where we're going to be even with the 2 additional cars. The good thing about it, where I find some solace, is half the year, at least 180 days out of the year, on the most part, those cars are going to be at one spot. They're going to be at the schools. That's why I haven't gotten too much anxiety about it. And I'm also wishful thinking here, hoping the gas gets back down to $2 a gallon
Well,
or $2.50.
it's going up.
And we have electric coming,
So-
so
But you
just
know
keep
what?
that in the back of your mind.
If you look at item 22003, which is your gas, and you've spent 120,000 through June, that's 240, and you're only at, 257, that doesn't leave really much wiggle room at all. Because that's like a normal gas increase. And if you're adding 2 more vehicles, I think we should reconsider that to raise that also. I think we should raise it to 265, and I think we should raise ammunition to 20, because it's also including the flares, and I'm assuming that includes things like cleaning stuff and your holster. Do your holsters fall into that, or is just
Yeah.
ammunition?
They-
So, you have actually accessories to the guns also, not just the ammunition.
That's one of the downsides, is if we do, and we are going to have to eventually make that move to update the firearms, holsters come with it, because the holsters that we have now aren't going to support the new ones. So, yes, and I'm okay with that. Do you need me to say it, or are you okay with the way you guys are doing it?
I would just like your assurance that you think that's a good number.
Is that around if I make a motion for 265 on the gas and oil, which is 22003, and add 20,000 to 22027, which is your ammunition?
Let's handle them in different motions, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do you want to do one?
So if you want to address the ammunition separately.
Sure. I think that we should add $20,000 to 22027 ammunition and flares to help.
Do we have a
provide that.
second?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, usual sign. Okay,
And I'll
I
make
was reading.
I'll make a motion to increase the gas and oil number 22003 to 265,000.
Second.
we have a motion and a second on increasing the gas and oil to 265,000. All those in favor, usual sign. Okay. So moved. Are we ready to move forward to the 0055?
Actually, if I could interject, we did have within that 1.9, the jail budget, we originally put 20,000 for uniforms. Again, we're way past that. We would, with the additional 2 SROs, like to request 22, which is not, again, a significant jump, considering we've already, I think we depleted our budget, was that July or June? We started paying for uniforms out of commissary this year. So
Either way.
So you're requesting it to go to
22,000.
22,000? Okay, I make a motion that we increase location number 0013 jail, 22022 uniforms to 22,000 for the 2014 requested budget.
2024.
2024, what did I say,
We have a motion
2022?
on the floor.
You said jails.
That's what she said, it was for the jail.
Well, but it's not.
No, it's not.
it's the 1.9, sorry, it's the 1.9, the sheriff's
I
fund.
rescind my
Then we
motion.
came back.
Yeah, okay, let's go
Well, I
to the
went forward, but we never
1.9
really got
uniforms to 22.
I'm just here for the ride.
Somebody tell me where we are.
We have a motion on the floor, 0019, to increase uniforms from 20 to 22,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Thank you. Are we ready to go ahead to 0055?
1155.
Dispatch, correct?
Oh, no, you're right.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Work release.
Oh, work
Work
release.
release
Work
is
release.
0055.
Oh. So what we noticed when we were going through the budget for work release is, you know, I got to tell everyone all the time, work release is just as much my family as the kitchen staff, jail, and everything else. I feel that there was a little bit more separation, the last administration, which is fine that they did this, but they decided to almost, in terms of the budget, separate it. There was a lot of repeat accounts where ultimately we were using, and Michelle can speak a little bit to that, when you talk about like office supplies and that sort of thing, they're just not using a ton of money out of those accounts. So we did a little bit of consolidating when we were preparing this budget, if you want to speak to that a little bit.
I would like to see their office supply budget added into ours, and that was something I requested. It's sporadic. They use the same office supplies we do. It's, you know, hey, Michelle, can I get some coin envelopes? Do you have, you know, a ream of this color paper? It's not, I don't feel that they order enough to have a separate supply, and ours was when they separated those budgets, I mean, our office supply budget was 8,000 to 10,000, and we used it all. I mean, we've already transferred 1,000 into our office budget and then started paying things out of commissary. So I feel if we combine those two budgets into one, and then I just, you know, give them their supply out of our stock or what we have, I feel like that's going to be more efficient than what we're doing now with two separate budgets.
Okay, I have a question on item 23011, which is the actual operating supplies. So you had increased the request for that, and then we've spent to date $537, and last year we spent $5,240. And so did we move something to that account, or, and why do you want $2,000 more than last year? And that would have been on the second page, the description
I remember,
page.
I remember talking about that when we were meeting. Do you remember? Cheryl's gonna pull up her notes. While she's doing that and looking that up, we'll get,
Because I know you spent $5,240, and then the year before it was $3,000. But then this year, for some reason, is 530, could have possibly some of the, like opioid stuff have paid for that possibly, or I don't, I mean, you know what I mean, like that kind of grant funding?
I remember talking about it. She's going to refer back to her notes. While she's doing that, Kim, if we could look at the 051 on the drug testing for work release. We increased that, proposed to increase that $5,000, right? 50%.
Yes.
I think a couple things. Our numbers are, they got quite a few people out there, sitting right around 75 inmates, and we're doing a lot more drug testing. It's that accountability piece that we're really pushing.
Right.
So that's, and
So
they're
why,
going through that, but that's not something I'm completely upset about because of the accountability piece is imperative to what we're
so
trying to
if
do.
if we've already spent over 9,000 and we spent over 18,000 last year, why are you raising it to 15? Why wouldn't you, I mean,
Again, that's something we're trying to find a middle ground, not be greedy. We supplement a lot of things with the commissary account. Do we need more? Could we use more? Yes, but do we expect to not pull our part of that with, you know what I mean? It's just trying to find that happy place where we're not covering the entire increase with commissary.
aren't those paid tests? Doesn't the actual person that has the testing done, the patient, do they have to pay or just the rent percentage of their check?
There is a portion that they pay. They don't cover they do get charged a drug testing fee.
Does that cover our fee?
Not entirely.
No, but that goes back into commissary, and so that's where we feel justified in not asking for the
Okay,
entire
so-
amount to come
so
from you
those-
guys.
Those amounts are going into commissary, which that's why you're paying the portion back, and I understand that. Okay.
And I guess I just want to make a comment. This is your first year.
Yeah.
You're getting, as close of a grasp on this as you can. Obviously, in another year, you're going to sharpen your pencils or, a little bit more. So I don't know that we want to spend a lot of time and looking at, increasing. If you feel comfortable with it, it
Yeah,
may lead to
I
additional
agree.
appropriation down the road. But you have to get the experience, get
Right.
comfortable in your.
Right.
This has definitely been a
But
learning
if the fee-
experience.
But if the fees are going into commissary for those particular items, I have no problem with the commissary paying for part of those. So I mean, that was where I was going, so.
I
I would
appreciate
also-
your concern. Thank you.
I just want to say too, thank you for your willingness to use commissary, to
Yes,
try to
thank
save
you.
the taxpayers' monies so that we don't have to put these in the actual, increase the budget.
Yeah.
And that you're willing to use commissary. I just think that's
I appreciate
Yeah.
really
that.
awesome,
you.
and I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with my last comments, are we good on this? Are we ready to move forward?
Yes.
Okay, on to 1155.
Extradition.
Extradition.
You want to speak about extradition, Michelle? We've talked long and hard about that during while we were having our own internal budget meetings, that we feel that that's an expense that we're probably never going to be able to encompass.
Right. I mean, the amount that,
One extradition would probably cover that, take over that budgeted amount. And again, that's just kind of shooting in the dark on, we raised it to 3,500. I can about guarantee you that with two extraditions, that's not even gonna cover
when
it.
you're paying to fly two people to California to pick up an inmate, and then, you have to fly him back, and then you have to fly back and get them again,
We just, she's speaking of that one because it sounds pretty, we just went through that.
Yeah.
We just went through that.
And-
So that was 4 flights essentially. with two
And there
people.
will be a third time, because once he serves his time there, we bring him back again. And it was $4,000 each time.
Wow.
So in our commissary paid budget expenses, so far this year, we've already paid $5,000 out of commissary after using the extradition, both extradition budgets, because we have the appropriated and we have the regular budget line. So it gets one extradition can wipe out the whole funds
So you
over.
need to tell people they need to stay in the area. When they make a
Well,
crime,
you know,
do
there's
a
this
crime,
little
they just
thing
need to
called
stay
the
in the
sheriff's
area.
service and the courts, Kim, that just, Yeah, I hear you, but,
Are we all good on this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this budget? Okay,
Yes.
let's move forward to 1156, gun permits.
And
already
that's,
Okay,
talked about that
that's
one.
gone away.
Yeah.
That, there
So-
is no,
Well, maybe we, well, I guess
do
we
we
already
leave
did
it? Do we leave it?
There's not going to be enough in there to fund what we're asking for next year, just simply because, again, I think the balance was, what did you say, 20?
I believe it's 20,100.
20,000, and that's why we're going to need to put that, because that fund is no longer funded
Right.
By Indiana
Oh,
gun
okay.
permits.
I got you.
We used to, yeah.
So in another year, you may have to address it, is what you're
Oh,
saying.
wait a second.
Can I say something? The girls downstairs said there's $116,000 in
Yes.
that fund.
There-
The cash balance is $116,000 right
Does that
now.
get just regenerated every year at 35,000? Is that what happens?
No, the
No, it's a
cash stays
budget.
in that fund. It carries
The
over
money
every year.
stays there, but we
And
budget
then-
every year.
so that budget
Yeah.
amount will come out of that
So there's
160.
So, I mean,
$160,000
that's-
sitting in that
Okay.
fund.
Good for another year. Yeah.
Okay.
This 20,000 is just what we have left from our, this year's.
This year's.
This
Good
Okay,
news.
excellent.
Are we ready to move
Yay.
forward?
Well,
Yes.
no, because we
Okay.
added that 20,000 in the other line item.
Right.
So you won't need to do that for several more years.
Yeah, so it turns out we really didn't need to do that.
Do we want to
Do we,
address that
do we
at
need
this
to
time?
rescind that?
We can cut that when we're working on the budget.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can do
we
that
can
later.
cut.
So let's
We
make
just
a
gotta
note.
add it
Okay.
to For advertising.
Let's make a note that we're going to cut that when we
Yes,
get
we
to
Okay.
it.
give and we take back here.
Your budget's going to get cut, I'll just let you know.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Cutting that,
We're
yes.
cutting your budget.
I was prepared.
All right, 1175. Misdemeanor fund.
We're looking.
That's all salaries on that.
Yeah, it's salaries, we can skip that.
Okay, move forward, 1192. That would
Sex
be,
offender.
The sex offender,
yep,
it's
Of administration.
administration.
Yeah.
that's administration, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving forward, 4934. And that's a DNR grant.
That's the DNR
for
grant.
the
That's
Lake Patrol, yeah.
Okay, nothing needs to be
No.
looked at there. 8029, or 8209,
8209.
yes.
That's the salaries.
Okay,
grant
so we
salaries.
can move forward there.
DNR.
This is more, a lot more fun.
I know. And that's the next one is the same.
9133, the state
Same
grant,
thing.
that is for the stop arm.
This, is that the stop on?
Grants, yeah.
Oh, nope, that was the DNR.
That's DNR.
The state,
DNR.
there's a federal and a
Okay,
state
okay.
part to
State.
the
For Lake
DNR
Patrol.
grant.
All
Got
right.
it.
Yeah.
0054.
Dispatch.
all-
One, that's,
And uniform.
Well, we have
That's-
uniforms.
that's it.
That's
Let's
it?
skip that, yep.
Everybody good with that?
Sure.
Okay, we'll move forward, 1122.
Okay. So
Gonna
in
be your dispatch.
1120,
Or 1220.
1222.
Oh, that's right.
1222.
1222.
That's the state.
My
yeah,
eyeballs,
okay.
sorry.
in 1222, we're going to have to move some things because there won't be the money to fund it.
Correct.
The money's not coming.
One thing I will say, as we're looking at this, there's always been a line item for longevity. Sue-Ann and I had a quick conversation about that. We no longer have any employees in dispatch that qualify for longevity. So that line item, I don't know how that works, but it's no longer going to be,
Which was 46,904 was the total, and we no longer need that budget at all.
Line item, okay.
Okay.
What number?
Can I ask a quick question about this to the council?
was
So when we made the motion in the
11590.
beginning about the moving, the suggestion that Reedy made, the suggestion was that we move the capital outlay into the,
Which could offset
yeah,
other issues.
and then the other half of that was to take the 911 salaries and put them in the general fund to correct this problem. So I think we covered that, did we not? Just checking.
Oh, okay, that was
Yeah.
what was on your, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, honey.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right, I'm sorry.
So we're moving this entire.
Yeah, that was a motion that I made in the beginning. That was part of the suggestion that Reedy made, was that we take,
To the general fund, okay.
That is one option we can.
that wasn't on there?
It's
Okay,
just
that
an-
was one of
It's just
the,
an option.
that was one of the things that they
Okay.
had suggested.
So,
The thing I gave you this morning was just for the stuff we missed
put 'em
I'm sorry,
yesterday.
what'd you say, Becky?
I said the stuff that I gave you this morning was, that we decided on was the things left over from yesterday.
Okay.
That we needed to
Right.
have votes on. This, you need to decide now whether you want to do that or not.
Okay,
Okay.
I know that that was what they
That was,
suggested.
well, I thought that was part of your motion.
I guess it was not. So we do need to do that.
I
So I would-
thought we addressed it at the beginning, but
Well, in looking at the
not a lot of
actual
conversation
thing, it's
since
not
then.
on this list. But I can find the email.
Sue Ann, do you know how much money's in this account?
$462,000 now,
Did you say 462?
462. That would have been August, 1st of August. That's the last printout I have.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that that's what he had requested, was that we, just for purposes of advertising, that we, when we move the capital outlay stuff to, I forget, what do we move it to? I don't have the funds. CCD, yeah, when we moved it to CCD, then we would take the salaries from the 911 and move that to the general fund because we were having trouble in this fund with regard to the salaries.
But we don't have any salaries in this budget.
Or whatever
So
the,
we'd have to take a line.
Can I say something again?
Yes, Becky,
Okay,
please.
the email from Reedy,
I just can't find
they
the
wanted
email.
us to
Oh, yeah, here it is.
move 250,000. They didn't specify from where to put in county general in case they run out of money next year.
and I do believe we did address that with the motion this morning. However, Michelle, if we did not, if we make another motion to cover ourselves, is that allowed?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just don't want to have to go back and,
The 250 that you addressed this morning was for the GDI. for the
Yeah.
general
Okay.
fund.
Yeah.
It wasn't for this.
Oh, okay.
okay.
But another question that I had, because you previously had said the motor vehicles for the sheriff's budget, you was also going to put in CCD. You did at the 270,000.
Right.
For this discussion, you increased that to 390, and you did not address that as part of that original motion.
So
This
we need to
morning it's
address that as
CCD.
well.
Unless you're just wanting to leave that 270 in CCD and not increase it to the 390. So for that advertising option, because that wasn't addressed when you increased that county general line item.
What's your flavor?
I think we need to make a motion to address it and move it for advertising purposes, and that gives us options. Is that not correct?
That would be
What
cleaner.
are your thoughts?
It gives us the option.
So Kathy, you would amend your
Okay,
original
well,
motion.
here's just to, this is what he says. Therefore, can you add generic personal services line item into the general fund for statewide 911?
No, because it's not personal services.
'Cause it's-
Because we don't have any dispatchers that we're paying.
Okay.
Correct.
So it would
I
have
would
to be
suggest
something-
adding the group, because they have 210,000
That's what I would
on the
do.
group insurance line. Add that to the group insurance line,
In the
county general.
CCD.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
To
look for a
just- I
motion
mean-
to
So we
address-
could add that
advertising.
amount.
So what,
Is it the 210?
so we would move that.
Right. So I would move that we move $210,000 out of the statewide 911 fund. It's 1222. Two, might be one more. two.
Yes.
Yeah. From
22.
the account 11605, which is group health insurance, that we move that to the CCD.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, usual sign. Thank you. And does that end our session with the sheriff? unless someone.
I'm not clear on what you just did.
I was gonna say.
Are you taking it out of here or just adding
That
it
we add
to?
it, that we add it to
Just for the
CCD.
advertising.
So we
Okay.
have it two places, so we have a choice.
Okay.
And then I just had one question. On your training, I'm just going to assume that newer people, you have to have more training there because you have newer staff there?
Yeah,
Is
so I
that
brought
correct?
Amanda to the table and let her speak to that and kind of what that looks like down there with training. And you want to share how much training you've done down there, Amanda?
Well, the
Thank you,
state's,
Michelle.
the state's given us a lot of new requirements, and thankfully, the state board pays for a lot of it, but as of this coming Saturday, almost half of our staff is 6 to 7 months or less. They need the training to be able to take care of the public, specialized training.
Any additional questions or comment for the sheriff's department?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Sheriff.
We have
Keep it
enough
up. You don't
material
feel like you were
for the next
drilled.
6 months.
Oh, I have a
Better
question.
next year, for sure.
Wait. Are you addressing the vehicles
Oh,
in the CCD? Yeah,
let's move-
if you're going to change the amount of the 623,000 to increase that, what you
Whatever-
increased?
Yes. Can you just increase
But you
for
have to-
advertising purposes?
Yeah,
moving-
you'll have to vote on that.
I know. I'm making an amended motion to move to put into CCD for an option for budgeting advertising purposes, the same amount for the automobiles that we moved and approved. And the sheriff's, 390. Thanks.
Do we have a
Thanks,
second?
money woman.
Second.
We
Second.
have a Motion and a second to increase for advertising purposes only the 270,000
390,
390.
well, from 270
to
to 390.
yes, for the vehicle purpose.
All those in favor, usual sign.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you.
Yeah, can I publicly thank Becky, Angie, Rhonda, everybody from the auditor's office?
Yes.
Has had their handfuls teaching me how to try and navigate the system this year, and they've been very patient and very wonderful, so I
You
thank
were
them.
very
Did a good
thorough
job.
in all of
Yes.
your explanations.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
guys.
day.
You too. May it be peaceful.
Do we have a coroner in the house?
Do we have a coroner in the house? We have
Okay,
multiple
moving right
seats up
along
here.
then. Tyler, you're up.
Shane, come on up. You can come on up.
Good morning.
Morning, Tyler.
Good morning.
Good.
Please
Good.
turn on your microphone and
Good.
try to pull it up
Yeah.
so everyone can hear.
Turn on your microphone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Tyler. Hey, I have no idea. We don't have coffee this
I
morning.
don't have coffee this morning.
I don't drink coffee.
We brought our own, sorry.
Okay, go ahead and present your budget then, and we'll ask questions or add additional comments.
Okay, first time here, so thank you.
Welcome.
Very informal.
Asking for forgiveness first.
Hey,
So the top line items, 018 through 079, that was all automatic in
yeah.
the system.
So you don't address
okay.
those, yes.
We're not addressing those.
Okay. Clothing and apparel, our staff don't have coats for wintertime, so those are for that. That's why there's an increase there. Gas and oil for fuel, we still should be under budget this year, so we still did the same amount for next year as well. Supplies have gone up, like body bags, those kind of items, which went up $1,400 roughly. Next on the line item, we have x-rays, lab, and expenses for autopsies at $90,000 this year. We are already at 27 autopsies for the year as of end of July.
And I see you're coming back September for a $45,000 additional appropriation to
Correct.
cover that.
And,
Yep.
and you've already spent 56,952, so do you think that that's going to be enough if you raise it to 90?
I think we'll be pretty close to it.
Okay.
And the reason for increase in autopsies?
We have had an increase in overdoses, we've had an increase in autopsies as well.
Can you just educate us, when is an autopsy required?
All when the deputy coroner or myself determine it needs to be one. Any unexpected, anything suspicious items or overdoses, we work with the prosecutor's office on.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. But, oh, James said it wasn't really an increase because in 2022, it was $92,000 expended on autopsies. Do you have any suggestions?
No, you're getting a computer?
We will be down the line, yeah. Ambulance fees have stayed the same at 600. We are getting internet hopefully here soon. We have budgeted for that for next year.
So was there not internet last year?
No.
No, there's not.
What was there?
We moved $700 to the internet line for 2023 in case we get it at the end of October, November, so we can pay for it.
Will that come through here?
What do you mean?
No,
I don't know.
they probably go to their.
Oh, it comes to our office over there.
No, I know, but I mean, is it originating here
That
from
I'm
the
not.
county?
Through systems administration?
Through IT's doing through it,
Yes.
yeah.
That's what I mean.
Oh, yes, yes, the IT department was working
Yes.
with, yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Mileage and fuel staying the same, meeting and travel expenses are staying the same, repairs and maintenance are at $2,500. We've had to do a lot of maintenance this year on our cot. We had to get that serviced.
Your what?
Our cot that we use in power lift, it's in the vehicle. We had to get that serviced. That was quite a large amount of expense. Anything with cots and power lifts are quite expensive, along with the batteries that they use. And had to get the vehicle fixed also this past few months. Computer hardware, we're waiting to get another computer there, and tablet for our deputy coroners they're wanting to use. And other equipment will be anything like hardware for the coroner deputies that we work with. Anything else that we might need.
And are there any funds available as far as grants or anything in your
So I am presenting
department?
next month to the council. We did get some grants through the Indiana Department of Health for products. They don't give money to money, so you don't need to go in front of the council to get these products, which they have it set up that way. But I am coming to present that next month. We did get $3,600 in products for free, like cameras, other body bags, other equipment the coroners and coroner deputies might need to use for investigations.
Do we have any additional questions or comments for the coroner's office?
Yeah, would you expand a little bit more on when you get an autopsy? You say when you work with a prosecutor, when you think it's foul play or something, or?
Foul play, if the prosecutor can charge the dealer that was dealing the drugs, and they need everything that they need, like an autopsy to explain what happened if there was a death, and so they can go after the dealer who was dealing those drugs. And we've had a significant amount of overdoses this year, and if they have the autopsy report, they can then charge the person, get them in jail.
Dave, autopsies are done when there's the sudden or unexpected death, somebody apparently in good health, drug overdose cases, criminal cases, any child less than 3 years of age, any person in custody of law enforcement or placed somewhere by the state. Those are when autopsies are required.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
If somebody just requests an autopsy, do they have to pay for that? I'm just curious.
They could,
Okay.
yeah,
Would depend on the situation, correct?
I was going to say.
correct. They can pay for it themselves through a private means.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? If not, thank you, Tyler.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jane.
Okay, KCCRVC. Good morning.
Morning. Hi, Mark Skabowski.
Yes, Mark.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How are you today?
I'm great.
You should be, coming back from the water.
Yes. One more time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So it's my first time here to present the budget. I've been on the KCC RVC for a while. I was president a couple of years and bailed on that, and Joe Pechkowski came and did this. So first time, the interesting piece for me is I actually have prepared the budget for the group for quite a while. So hopefully if you have any questions, I'll be able to take care of those. Our line items are much easier than those that you've been dealing with. We have 4 categories. Basically, the CVB is our biggest line item, about $510,000. $360,000 for grants that we grant to nonprofits, $15,000 for administration, and that's it. So I said 4 categories, 3 and the total. So total budget of $885,000 for the year.
Which is all offset by innkeeper tax.
Correct. It's all funded by the innkeeper's tax. And we've tried to put some math to how we do the allocation of the budget. The CVB is our single largest. That's actually, if you read back through, why were we founded to have the CVB? We're trying to come up with where we spend about 60% of our budget for the CVB. Is a significant increase this year. We had the COVID year where we pulled back. We were a little hesitant to release funds, but receipts increased dramatically. So rather than us just sit on it and hold it, we're trying to pass that on to the agency that does the marketing and things like that. So for their budget specifically, about 60,000 of that increase of the 90 they received is going towards marketing. The balance of that is increase in operational expense. They're adding another employee, things like that. So we trust that they're managing those resources wisely, and we work pretty closely together with them in setting up their budget. So.
Do you have any questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you so much because your board is functioning very well. And you're doing a great job of getting money out to those who need it.
Yes.
Who are providing the monies, the heads that are in beds that
Sure.
are creating the income. So I do sincerely appreciate your efforts.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Are all the hotels and motels current on, I mean, years past, they had trouble collecting out of some of them. Are most of them paying now?
They are, a majority. I mean, very rarely will we see one that maybe is slipping. But with the advent of the charge to Airbnb, which is automated and then it comes from the state. So Airbnb charges our 5% innkeeper tax. That was our biggest issue where, I say issue, in collection side was who's out there who are actually renting. Well, with Airbnb and VRBO doing what they do, they collect it and then send it to us. So that's definitely increased our receipts.
I just echo the thank you.
Thank you.
You,
Sure.
having witnessed your process, thank you. I think it's been pleasurable for those people who have to come before you and ask for money.
Well,
So-
thanks. And, you know, I guess the one thing that I would do, since hopefully we've got some press here, is to put out the call for folks that are looking for grant funds that relate to us. Please come and ask. Please
you.
come and ask. We want to spend those dollars within the community. That's the purpose, so.
Okay, well, thank you,
All right,
Mark.
Yep.
Nice to finally
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Okay, treasurer. Is she in the room?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Good morning, Michelle.
Officially. You have my budget before you. There are no increases from previous year other than wages. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you for no increases.
No questions
And
or
is that-
comments?
Is it, are you good from last year? As
I-
far as the lockbox for tax payments, going to be really close, right?
It is going to be close. I did analyze what we had used prior years to this year's. This year, I did not spend as much on the lockbox as I did previous years. There's more mail that we posted in office during tax season, so I know I'm going to be good for this year.
and plan on exercising that same amount next year. I did utilize part-time this year more than previous years. I had 2 full-time, part-time people during tax time that worked between 20 and 30 hours a week for about 4 to 5 weeks leading up to tax time, which helped tremendously post that mail in office, as well as keep the lines down and move those customers through. And I'm planning on hopefully continuing to do that going forward as long as my part-time people are still willing to come and work, which right now they're both planning on being here for fall season and don't anticipate them not being here next year.
And the people that I know that have walked in and paid taxes were very complimentary on how quickly the process took place. So.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure being able to have a different seat during tax season and definitely being in the front row and working with customers coming in. Always love to see the communication with our public and be able to answer those questions that they have, because this year with those tax rates increasing, trust me,
Yes.
there were lots of questions, and, we were able to help answer some of them or redirect others to either the assessor or the auditor, whichever was the best fit to answer those. But you just don't have that opportunity if you're not sitting on the front row talking to that taxpayer face to face.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Have a good day.
Yes.
Okay, Superior, I don't believe anybody's in here.
We're
so-
early.
You guys want to take a break?
Yes, yes, that was where I was going with that, yep.
Oh, that way? That way? Thank you.
Okay.
I didn't see it. You know, I should have known the answer to my question about where my property is. I heard, I know, it's totally thing. I just didn't memorize it because I was hoping not to be. How was that? Well, he's new and he's nervous. He thinks we're gonna do away with his budget. Yeah.
Wendell, got your pictures of their meetings. And if he wanted to throw a little more black in that, I don't care. I guess I would. Okay, all right. I guess I would rather stay. Yeah, I guess I would rather stay more the grays and the blacks and not so much of the white. Yes, I text Jason and said, yes, yep. Yep, because the basement I didn't want filled and the garage I do. So, yeah, fill the garage and we weren't gonna fill the basement, but it's already done. So, yeah, no big deal. Correct, yep. All right, thanks, Wendell. Well, we're on a break now, so you have to make it brief. Or hang on to your briefs. Oh, yeah, we're, day 2. Yeah. Yeah, I can, no, I'm okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's pretty bad when you
Oh,
can't
good.
spell your name. You know, when you
Well,
miss,
not-
so when you
yeah,
miss hit and you look at it, you're like,
Who's that?
Because I did.
Kim, well, it's usually cated. Because I hit the S, and my thumb hits like over too far and it hits the D instead of the S when I'm typing.
Okay.
Okay, so I think, okay, so I'm gonna send this out to everybody, Barry, Andrew, forward. Okay. He sent what they paid in electronic monitoring each year and what account it was in. So I'm gonna send it, because I had asked him that. So let's see.
Okay, so I guess my question to you
Um,
is, we have not closed
John,
this process. Is there something you want to come back to us with? I know that's unusual, but we've been dealing with, we don't want to have a large additional appropriations if it's something we need to deal with now. Okay, okay, okay.
wow, that was
Okay, I mean,
nice.
and we can do that.
So, I mean,
Yes, and we
Barry
can
had
do
sent
that.
all that to me.
You know, once the advertisement
and
goes out,
so
we
I
can't
sent him
add
a
anything.
response back and I told him
And that's
that we were
tomorrow.
praying for it, because wasn't it his mother-in-law? that just had a heart attack? Anyway, but I just sent it
Okay.
to I just sent his response out.
Yeah, so you're
we
willing
have-
to do that
Because,
and stick
you know,
with
to
what
try
was
to share
presented
it
at this time?
But I'm thinking, he
What's
was
that?
very quick. I mean, some of the stuff he sent, that was
you're-
like last night.
now you're breaking up.
I just got it, but I think it was sent last night, which is weird, because I got other stuff from yesterday.
No, I'm serious, you are breaking up.
I don't know if there were,
Okay, all right.
Look, I understand that.
Okay, then you're gonna reduce your budget to make up the difference. Yep, okay. That'll work. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, appreciate it, Steve, thank you. All right. Yes.
This is just a thought, and I don't want to overstep or over.
I'm still going in circles here. Where are we going?
Eventually to heaven. The next one
Superior
in the
2 and
book.
3?
And you need to turn your mic on. Yep.
Speak directly into it, please.
Okay.
We're here to have you present.
Your mic, your mic's not on.
Mike, your mic.
Sorry, we are ready to hear your presentation.
Well, I'm here representing Superiors 2 and 3. Our budget is pretty straightforward. We don't really have any changes other than Pauper Council, which that's every year it increases, and we don't really have a whole lot of choice in the matter. We did try to keep it at 10,000 for an increase. I hope that's enough.
Okay, so you spent 318,667 through June, which is half the year. So you don't see it going over 6?
I hope not. We were able to encumber some from last year in that offset in January, which was really helpful. So I'm not sure how, when this gets all printed, where the encumbering comes in or what it actually shows, but our hourly rate went up this year. It was $90 an hour last year, and in January, it went to $100 an hour. So our claims did jump up. I mean, we were still getting some that had the $90 hourly rate on it. We still get a few, but yeah, it did go up. And like I say, we're hoping that we have enough. We just never know.
I'm not sure that I should ask you this, but who qualifies for Pauper Council?
I don't know what the criteria is. I know they go before the judge and they have to list their income, assets, and that's what it's based off of, but I don't know what the exact criteria is.
Do we know if it's verified?
I don't believe it is, but I don't know that for a fact.
Okay, I just was very curious.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? No? Okay, we'll move forward.
The other budget that we have is Fund 200, that's the supplemental PD services. This is a fund that is set up by statute, and unfortunately, we can't really use it. We try to budget just in case something would change, and we could pull money from it.
So this fund is setting right now with, give me 1 second here, a ton of money, $880,055.08. That would have been the 1st of August, and I'm sure you probably haven't spent anything out of it.
Wow.
So this would be one of the things that legislatively, I would hope we could, as the County Council Association, go back and try to take some kind of action to make this money be something we can spend, because it amplifies every year. You're not spending it, and there has to be a tweak in the law that would allow something that we're doing to be able to pay it out of that, be paid. I mean, Pauper Council would be a great place to start.
Exactly.
Or they give us a one-time transfer that we could move whatever we felt comfortable moving and setting aside that money for Pauper Council or whatever. But hopefully, we can get somebody at the state level that'll look at that bill with us.
And hopefully somebody that maybe knows a few people at the state level could help lead that charge. Dave?
I heard that.
Yeah, I mean, if our balance is 880.55, other counties have to be dealing with the same similar balances and similar problems of not being able to really fund Pauper Council as what they should without encumbering, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And I guess, any questions or comments here?
No, we have one more.
The only
And-
additional one is the alternative dispute resolution budget.
This is the, kind of the same scenario. We have this, we budget.
I did go back and look. I think 2020 was the last time that anything was expended out of it. We don't do a lot of mediation, and I think the last thing that was, maybe was in Superior too, and it was a divorce case that probably got transferred to that court. So, but we just budget in case we need it.
Any additional questions or comments? No? Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thanks,
Have a
Dave.
good
You
afternoon.
Hey, Suann, just out of curiosity, Suann, do you know the balance in that particular account, the one we just addressed? The one, the mediation fees?
Oh, the mediation.
I was just curious.
Anybody want to sing or anything?
No, I'm confused.
You're confused? Okay.
Okay. I'm confused because they put $5,000. Where's this money coming from that adds up to 880,000 plus?
Part of the
Yeah.
court fees.
Yeah.
So this report that was, this report that was, August report, said they took in $11,800 in August, or in July, in 1 month.
So they're not taxpayer, it's not taxpayer
No.
funds.
But they just, it's just restricted enough you can't. Can't
You know,
use it
it'd be
anywhere.
too bad we couldn't use that for like staff for the courts, since the courts are taking it in.
Well, the title of it
Aye,
is.
yeah.
The way
Yeah.
it's titled, maybe
Popper?
not.
Yeah.
So the other question you have there, Kim, the alternative dispute resolution, that has had 53,429, and they took in $705 in the last month, so they're probably not spending much out of it at all.
Right. Okay, are we ready to go with Gail? Gail, you're up. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Gail.
Please turn on your microphone and try to speak clearly. We are being recorded. And whenever you're ready,
Okay. Do you have any particular budget you want me to start with?
let's start at the top.
County?
0003, correct?
Yes.
General.
All right. Okay. So on this one, we'll start with the part-time. Christy Mayer retired, and so she is no longer working in the personal property department. She is now on my PETA-BOA board. So we actually dropped the part-time wages, like $11,000. 11.6, there you go. So that was the one drop that we did have. The one change I did make, and we had met earlier in January about this, was my PETA-BOA coordinator, administrative position. I had requested a pay scale change for her because the scope of work that she does in my office is not considered data entry work. She is more on an administrative level with the type of work that she does, working with appeals and lawyers and different things like that. So I had made that request earlier in the year. I have not received whether it's gone through or not gone through, but that is still my request for her salary to be changed. I think you guys were talking about from a 2.3 to a 1.3.
Is this something you did at the wage committee level, or?
Yes.
Yes,
I think,
correct.
yeah, we discussed that at Wage Committee.
Yep.
And we do have one more Wage Committee meeting, correct, Suann?
Okay, any questions or comments on this line? Okay, let's move forward to 1131.
Okay. So you don't have any other questions about the increases for county general? None? Okay, all right. Well, that was easy, guys. Thanks.
Hey,
I do have
We're
one, I'm
easy
sorry.
today.
yes.
So you will not need, or you just reduce the part-time pay?
I do not believe at this point that we will need to have another part-time person in that department due to what legislators are doing with personal property at this point. So we're going to try and get by with the staff they've got down there now, and if we need to help upstairs, then we will pull together and make sure it gets done. So we're not going to hire another part-time person right now.
And I guess one last question, overtime pay?
The overtime pay is, and I still can't guarantee that it's going to be necessary, but at this point, we have a huge homestead job that is ahead of us for the legislation that passed this past year with changing the residential portion from cap 3 to cap 2. So all those buildings have to be looked at, all the land has to be looked at, and I'm not sure how much time at this point that's going to take. So that's just a what if. We need it. But at this point, my goal in our office is to streamline things enough to where we don't have to have overtime, because honestly, my girls don't want it. They would rather have their time to be with their families and do their activities and stuff, and I can appreciate that. So we're working very hard to streamline part-time out as a whole at this point.
And you can't do comp time? Time and a half?
We can do comp time. The only problem with that is once you give them comp time, they have to use it. So it's kind of a double negative for us. It's like you give it to them, but then they have to be out of the office to take the comp time, and we still are lacking in, I'm short 2 people right now. So that's why they normally choose pay at this point, but if it gets low and we need it, then we can change to comp.
Thank you.
All right. Assessor, yep. The only change in this one is repairs and maintenance. I know for a fact that before the winter starts, we have to get new tires put on the vehicle. We've already been told this. And I believe, from what we have been told as well, that we have some routine maintenance that's going to have to be done. And I don't know, I'm not a car person, so I can't really tell you what that's going to cost. So I bumped it up just $1,000 to make sure that we're covered for everything that we'll need to keep the vehicle running safely.
Thank you.
All right, no questions, comments? Okay, 0003.
00, oh, there we go. Sorry, wrong one. Okay, reassessment, yeah. I did have a few changes in this one. Gas and oil, I took up by $1,000 because gas is all over the board right now. I have no idea what it's going to do next year, and so that's just to cover and make sure that we have enough money to keep the vehicle fueled for everybody. So we basically have 3 teams right now that use that vehicle pretty much all year long. It does not sit in our parking lot very long, so that's why I increased that one. The $1,000 for the Form 11s, that is our vendor that takes care of our assessments that we send out every year. He warned me last year that I should increase it by about 10% for both postage and for the putting the forms together in the envelope and mailing them out. I barely had enough for postage, or for the mailing part this year. Came very close to not having enough. So I bumped both of those up by about $1,000 to make sure that I'm covered and can get them sent out. Okay? So that's those 2. Legal services, I did increase by about $5,000. We have taken on a task with the exempt properties that we have in our county. And I think we're finding out that our PETA-BOA board, and I'm saying this with all respect, does not have the kind of knowledge to really determine on some of those whether they should be exempt or not. And I think sometimes we have just rubber stamped and we have just sent them on through. So we actually have an attorney that comes to our PETA-BOA hearings, and she gives us legal advice on whether she believes that they actually meet the criteria for the exemption. The other part of that is we're going through the ones that we have had for years, and we're looking at them to see whether they still qualify or not. So we did take quite a few of them off this year because on the land, if you're a 136, you've got 4 years to develop that land. And if you don't develop it, then your exemption should come off. Well, no one's ever really looked at them to see what they're doing with them. So Kathy is doing that. And so we're getting a little bit of that money back. And most of the people that have come to the hearings have been honest and told us, yeah, we really have no plans for it. So, so that's kind of what we're doing with that, and why I think we probably will need just a little bit more money for that.
I just want to say thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
And do you think that it will pay off, is basically what you're saying, to review the ones that are exempt? Because we're actually going to get the taxes
Yes,
back.
you're going to get the taxes back on, especially a lot of the vacant land that's owned by the Bowen Center. We're looking at those really, really hard because they own a lot of like single-wide mobile homes, and they own boat lots that they're getting exemptions on. And I'm like, so we're looking into all of those to make sure that they still qualify for it. So yes, we should be getting the tax money back on several of those anyway.
Okay.
Very good.
Any questions or comments? Okay,
Thank
let's
you.
move on to 0046.
All right. Okay. Let's see what I got here. Where's my sheet for this one? Sorry, guys. Oh, there it is. I got it. Okay. 00. It's my commercial. I'm sorry, guys. I really am organized. I am missing one of my budgets.
Carrying one of ours?
Yeah,
say?
I am
Here.
sorry.
That's okay.
Mine.
And
I have misplaced that one. I apologize, honey. Thank you.
Just make notes for me.
Okay, okay. There's not really much with this one right now. This is our contractual services to do our commercial industrial work. We budgeted in '23, $103,785, because with it being the first year, I really
Right.
wasn't sure
I remember
what
that.
we were going to run into.
Because you really didn't know.
Yeah,
because
we
it was
had
the
no
first
idea
year,
what it was
yeah.
going to entail. And so I think I can kind of tell from the way it's gone this year and how much I've paid out that we can probably drop that sum. So I did drop it, $23,785 for this year. And I still think that's going to give us a cushion in case something comes up that I'm not expecting. The other ones that you see are zeros now was our commercial industrial budget before we lost our employees. I put zeros in there. So I'd like to keep those in there because at some point in time, my goal is to still bring that back into our office instead of vending it out. And I'm going to tell you why, guys. It has not gone at all like I had anticipated it was going to go this year. And so I think there's better control by keeping it in office. I think you can manage people's work time a lot better than having someone come in at 10:30, someone come in at 3 and go, what'd you do the rest of the day? And that's kind of what I've run into this year. So that whole thing is being reworked at this point. So I'd really like to keep those in there, even though they're zero, so that we can possibly get it back in office.
Are the results how you want them to be? I know the time and it's hard to have that control, but are the actual results from that contractor the way you want?
Not at this point.
Okay.
The person that had been brought in to do our work has been let go. I let her go a couple of weeks ago. And they're bringing in a person from Southern Indiana who has actually worked on our software system and knows how to enter. We just weren't given the correct information at the beginning. And so I'll be honest, that's been the most stressful part of my job this year, is trying to manage and control that part. And at this point, it's like, I don't really have a good handle on it at this point. So they have assured me that it's going to get done on time, and that's all I can go with. I don't have another company that is willing to take it on. I don't think it's a big enough bucks for another company to do it. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So we're going to start over and hope that we can get everything accomplished.
Thanks for working so hard with that.
So Gail, you don't anticipate being able to bring it back in-house in '24?
No. No.
Thank you.
So I just have a question, Gail.
Yep.
On the reassessment funds, you have $618,000 in the reassessment fund now. And you're asking this budget is $398,000. That would leave you somewhere around $220,000. Do you have a long-range plan for the reassessment money? Or is there not a plan? And is the reassessment money, and I'm asking because
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the reassessment money, excuse me, not supposed to be used for wages to pay people, or is it to be used?
I think there was a point in time when Lori was taking a portion of the salaries out of reassessment, but it was supposed to be short-term, and it ended up being like 5 or 6 years' worth. And it dropped the balance quite a bit. If you look at the projection that is attached to my reassessment fund, by the time we get to 26, they're expecting it to be $510,000 in the hole. So I don't know if I can really afford to take salaries out of reassessment.
Okay, and part of that is because you are a part of the overall max levy. And when the money wasn't being spent and the balance was up around $1 million, every year we would cut what was coming in. The bottom line is, it doesn't really make any difference whether we spend it out of reassessment or we spend it out of the general fund, but the difference that it makes is, I mean, it makes some difference, but if that was the intended purpose of that fund, to track what it costs to do the reassessment, then those people who are working on reassessment, the intent was always for those to be paid out of there, I believe. That's how it had always been done. That's why I'm asking if something has changed, because obviously I don't know.
Well, no, nothing has changed as far as reassessment goes. It's still from May 1st to December 31st is our reassessment cycle, so it's a half a year, basically. And everybody in our office, probably with the exception of Kathy and, probably just Kathy, all of us work on reassessment. I've been working on it since May 1 because we're short-staffed right now. So I have dug in there and done my part, but all of us are working on it. So I guess it doesn't matter to me if you want to take salaries out of reassessment. I just know that I have to have enough money to run my office. However you want to do that is.
Well, and wasn't the other part too, that because of MACOG and the aerial photos, those used to cost excuse me, an arm and a leg, and obviously we're not paying for those near what we.
No, we are not. That's
They're a real
correct.
bargain. So, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out if we continue with the reassessment. I mean, the law says you have to have a reassessment.
Correct.
Fund, I believe. But we just need to get a feel for where that rate needs to go. When we get down to working on the nitty gritty of the rest of it, we'll talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments for Gail? If not, thank you.
All right.
Thank
thanks.
you so
Have a
much.
great one.
Have a good day. Deb Wright, you're up. Good morning.
Good, how are you?
Could you please turn on your microphone, speak clearly into it so all can hear?
You mean you can't hear me without it?
We didn't say that. No.
And whenever you're ready to begin, looks like at the top of ours is 0016.
No, but that's just staff.
That's just
Go to
numbers.
1189.
What's that? Good?
1189? Because the first one is staff.
Yeah, the first one, yeah. the
First one's
only-
staff.
Yeah, the only thing out of general is, would be my salary and benefits, I believe, but yeah. So, yes, so, did you say 11, did we skip 1160?
Oh,
One-
sorry. I
Yep, yep, I
apologize.
was just thinking.
I apologize.
No,
My,
that's okay. So, that is the County ID Security Protection Fund, which is what we call our redaction fund. Back when they passed all that, I'm sure Dave remembers,
it was a requirement for us to have language on all of our documents that are recorded about not having social security numbers. So that's where that was established. For those of you that don't know, that's kind of the background on that. And we collect so much per document for that. It's $1 for each document. So that money has to go to redaction services, which we can, basically, the reason I have two separate items here, contractual services is the actual redaction service that we pay for through our software company. That did go up, that amount did go up this year. Actually, what I'm going to be paying at the end of the year is going to be a little bit more than is currently set aside for that. But so I tried to reflect that on here. And then the records and maintenance is basically the only way to redact a record is if it is digitally imaged. So if you do some digital imaging of old documents, you can get away with using that fund for that, which is really nice because there's a good cushion in there. I can't say that I have anything specifically planned for next year because vast majority of stuff is done, but I wanted to slide a little bit in there just because you do always come across things that people find that, oh, this wasn't done or that wasn't done and you weren't expecting it. So that just gives me a little cushion on that.
And that's the records maintenance part?
Right, yeah, yeah, and that would be, like I said, so either the contractual services for the redaction service itself or then for those documents to actually be redacted.
And this is another one of those funds that's accruing a big balance. It's
Right.
got
Yeah,
$303,000 in it.
So honestly, I know, and I'm kind of look back at what Joetta did. I'm not real sure. I think she did use it some for the back indexing too, but I mean, back when we did the big indexing project of the deeds when I was a recorder before, like it completely paid for all of that. So that was really nice to have it, but yeah, it builds back up and I mean, eventually I'm hoping that's one of those funds that they allow us to maybe
Give you one time to move it someplace else.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Okay, 1189 is next.
Okay, that's the fun one, right? Because that's pretty much where everything comes from. So I'll just kind of start down. We've been paying for 3 salaries and benefits for, I don't know how long all 3 of them have been in there, but it's been quite some time. I know we, again, started that last time I was a recorder. Because there's a good amount of money in that fund and we can use it to run our office. So what I want to point out real quick before I forget, and with the salaries and the benefits is a good time to do it. It's highly possible this next year with the way that the economy is and not knowing exactly what's going to go. I mean, our recordings are down because we're dependent on the real estate market. I mean, so we're going to be cutting it kind of close this year as to like what we're taking out versus what we're putting in. And it's going to be the first time in a while that we're really going to be close. So I'm watching that closely. Just so you guys know, I'm aware of that and I'm watching it closely and hopefully we'll be good. I mean, we have enough in there for quite some time, but that is something that if we have a long-term
Yeah.
terrible economy, could cause a problem, but right now it's not. But just kind of throw that out there for you guys so you're aware. Moving on from that, supplies and operating expenses, and gosh, I have to look back because we did a lot more parsing things out this year, and I will tell you that Alyssa and Angie particularly were really helpful to me for that. So if I can look at, oh, I didn't bring that paper. Oh, shoot. I did not bring that paper. Okay, so I'm going to try to remember this off the top of my head because I forgot that paper. Supplies and operating expenses is basically kind of like anything that doesn't fall under the rest of this. again, to have a little cushion for, you know, unexpected supply that doesn't necessarily fall under like an office supply or something along those lines. I think we did not use hardly any of that the last couple of years, so I lowered it way down because I just don't really anticipate anything big coming up in that.
Okay.
So, contracts. Is that the, yep, contracts is basically CSI, which is our software. There are, I think, 4 different contracts we pay with them. One is the redaction, so that's a separate thing. I have a contract for our storage facility. We have off-site storage at Barker Storage. Because those are our original, you know, backup records, so we technically are supposed to do that, and we have for, ever since LaShawn, I think, so keeping that up. That's kind of the main things under the contracts. Basically, I mean, everything went up a little bit with CSI, still cheaper than what we paid with the company previous, so. Records maintenance, that is, again, off the top of my head because I don't have my list with me. We took stuff out of repairs and maintenance because we don't have anything that definitely falls under that. Went on records maintenance, that is, my gosh.
Are you scanning or binding anything? Do you have any
Yes.
other documents?
We have, thank you, that totally brought it to me. Yes, like if we have to buy a new scanner, if we have to buy anything, well, that wouldn't fall under, I'm sorry. We have equipment rental for our current big scanner, which is also on this list. That would be anything that's kind of like not falling under that, but that actually aids in maintaining the records. Like we have a small scanner for documents. We have gotten some vertical or hanging files for the plats and things because laying in drawers wasn't very good. Kind of just if we have anything like that that we need to do that's going to help those permanent records. So. And that, down a smidge from last year. Nothing in repairs and maintenance. Dues and subscriptions, pretty much is Recorders Association dues. So that's based on how much we record, and then we've always paid for our deputies as well, because we usually take somebody with us to conference or something, so, and it supports our association.
Okay.
So, and the equipment rental I touched on, which is the large format copier, because it is on a lease. So, grateful it's on a lease. We got one when we first started the lease, and it was, they sold her on a brand-new machine, which, it did sound really great. We didn't see it in person, and I mean, I was kind of in on that too, and, it was awful. It was just way too much. So we got him, thank goodness, to switch us out, so we were grateful for the lease at that point to be able to do it. And it's cheaper. And furniture and fixtures, I believe on that she did also buy some hanging file, the easy file things from that as well. Kept a little in there, kind of in case, again, well, there's a lot of in case in here. And it's kind of a learning thing for me, again, having been out of it for 8 years and having to look at somebody else's and then do my own. I imagine I'm going to have a lot of changes next year. I think I'm going to have a lot of things down next year, so.
Okay.
And the good news is her balance in this fund is $742,000.
Yeah, yes, it's still a really good balance, and thank goodness for that, so.
And it is very generous of her to pay for all these
Oh.
things that otherwise would be in our general fund.
You know, we feel really fortunate here, and I will tell you why. We hear horror stories of other counties, and my council forced me to do this, and they forced me to do that, and It's one of the reasons they changed how much we're putting in the fund and what we can do with the fund. Because there were a lot of small counties that just didn't have the money, but the county didn't have the money, for the expenses. And so we've always felt so fortunate because nobody's ever, quote, forced us to, but we've always been able to as well. But we've never felt like we had to. I know when I started this back when Bob was here, and I know you were kind of in on that too. We're happy to do it. That money's there. So we're just grateful that we're able to do that and that we have the relationship with our council and our commissioners that we do. So many counties are not so lucky.
And isn't this the fund, Deb, that this year they gave a one-time that you could move a boatload of money related to Lake County? They had a ton of money.
The elected officials training fund. You
Oh,
could
that's what
move-
it was.
Right.
That's
So
what it
we
was.
could one time move that over, and I opted not to do it, and I'll tell you why. Because since we're paying for council out of it now, which is, I think is wonderful because it takes that burden off of, elsewhere, the money's there. But because we are, I think until we see exactly where it plays out, how much we're spending where, I just wanted to be conservative with it and leave that money there. I don't need it in the perpetuation fund, so that's why I kind of left that there. So we'll see where that goes.
Any questions on comments? on
Yeah,
1089?
absolutely.
Okay. 1217 is the last one.
Oh, did I miss
The
one?
training.
Oh, that's the training
Training.
fund. Yeah, that was the training fund. So, again, that's something we take in $1 a document for. That funds, everybody on that list was clerk, me, auditor, treasurer, surveyor, and council now. So, yeah, we are kind of doing conservative next year with what we're doing. We're not going to do AICs, so it's nice to do it every couple of years just to kind of keep up, but we're going to sit that one out this time, so.
And there is $108,000.
Yeah,
in
there's a
that.
good balance in that. And that was the one we were talking about. We could do a 50,000 one time, but we're just going to see how it goes over this next year, so.
Any additional questions or comments?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you could move 50,000 out of that 108,000 and move it to,
The perpetuation fund. So, yeah, the state decided, because there's a lot of counties that or some counties that have like, $200,000, $300,000 in it, like, you're talking like Hamilton County, Marion County, Lake County, but that could use it in their perpetuation fund for salaries or something else. Because it can only specifically be used for training, so then it could be used for something else. So, yeah. So, we're hoping they will offer that again in the future. And from the way it sounded, probably will in a few more years, because I think there's some of us that do want to kind of see how this is going to play out without in council and stuff, just to make sure that we're well-funded there for several years. So it's something I would not be opposed to moving that money at all. No, not at all. I just, like I said, want to see how it kind of plays out. Yeah.
thank you.
Any additional
Absolutely.
questions or comments? Thank you, Deb.
Thank you guys very much for all of your work.
Thanks for the job that you're
Yeah,
doing.
thank you.
Kip, you're next. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Whenever you're ready, I guess we'll start with 007 and move on down from there.
Your general
Okay.
budget. Your general budget.
General, yes. Well, 007 was for the deputy director that I believe
He's talking fund.
The fund,
The 007, like
Location.
1,000 at the top there.
Fund 1,000, location 0007.
It's county general,
Yes.
1,000.
He's on the right
under-
thing.
You're
He's
on the
just
right
starting
thing.
on salaries, which
Yeah.
we're not. Right? We're not discussing salaries.
Well, he could mention something if he wanted to, correct?
Mine shows gas, oil, and all that.
Yeah, but the first ones are,
Okay.
I thought he was targeting the 11007 fund.
No, Mike was reading the fund and the location.
Who's confused? Me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, welcome to our world.
You got it.
Confusion.
He says
Would you like to start
11,
now?
007,
Let's-
that's what he was.
Where
Let's
do we
start
want to
over.
start?
Are you saying my leadership?
If you start with 2203.
I didn't say it out loud.
22003, yes, I can do that. That, I know where you're at.
Hey, let's start at the top and go to the bottom. How's about that?
There we go.
That works for me,
All right.
leaving out salaries, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, gas and oil, 003, asked for a slight increase. My research into next year's gas prices, and I think everybody's probably aware of this, that starting next summer, we'll be back up to the $4 and over mark.
Stop it.
Is, I'm not going to ask.
Okay. You don't have as much travel from me because I don't live as far away as what Ed did. But I think it's prudent to have that extra fund in there for gas and oil and repairs to my truck and things like that, which the truck does have some repairs that it needs. Airbag light is on, need to repair that. It actually needs a new grill, so.
How old of a vehicle is it?
It's a 2015,
Did you get it detailed?
so,
When you got it, did you get it detailed?
yes. So
Just wanted to know.
Ed did that before he turned it over.
Okay, good.
Well, I thought you had a new truck. That's the reason I asked, because it looked awful shiny.
That's the way I like it. Any questions on gas and oil?
Nope.
And down to 22012, emergency supplies, that stayed the same. And 31006, educational services, again, asked for an increase there. Earlier this year and for several times, I've done safety fairs and things along those lines, and found out my office does not have a table cover. It doesn't have a stand-up sign. It doesn't have any of those educational resources to advertise and, promote emergency management. So I would like to pursue that, along with get some flyers that I can hand out at the fair and at these safety fairs and things along those lines that also have Kosciuszko County Emergency Management on those. 31007, emergency service, that all stayed the same. 32017, food and lodging, stayed the same. That would basically be for the EMAI, Indiana Conference for EMs. Printing and advertising kind of goes back to the educational services thing. The pamphlets I did order earlier this year were way more than what the $300 budget was. So it was almost twice that, just for a small amount of those. Repairs and maintenance stayed the same, and dues and subscriptions, asking for a slight increase because I would actually like to join the National Association also. I'm part of the state association and the International Association, but not the national organization. Something Ed had not done before.
Wouldn't that be a good resource for finding out what other counties are doing in that
Yes.
realm? Okay.
Yes, very much so.
Typically, nationals can provide,
Very much so.
as long as they're not politically slanted, they can provide a lot of good information.
I would agree with that statement.
Thank you.
Any questions or additional comments?
Nope.
Okay, let's move to red tab 1152.
Local emergency planning. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have red tab.
I don't.
Okay.
It's fun.
Fund 1152.
Here, Kip. Thank you. All right, this is the hazmat response equipment. And I believe that all these funds are basically generated from other resources, but you budget the money for the expenditures and things along those lines. So,
Isn't this the businesses that contribute? They
yes,
give your
this
plans
comes
and-
from the Title
Yeah.
II funds from all the businesses that have hazardous materials. So, but I am asking for slight increase for emergency planning, actually for all these, data management. That would help with our computer programs that track that information, equipment maintenance and calibration. We do have hazmat detection equipment that needs checked and calibrated every year. Meeting stipends, we've usually used that for, most recently, we actually used the stipend money for paying for our ICS 300 and 400 lunches that we provided for the class, so we could stay in class and have a working lunch and got out earlier. It actually saved us a whole day of a class. So, then telephone and iPad, that's basically for the, what do you call the device, the cellular device in my truck. So to be able to have a computer in my truck, hotspot, there you go. That's just to cover those extra costs that are probably going to come along at some point.
Okay.
Thank you.
So welcome to Kosciuszko
Yeah,
County.
welcome.
Thank you.
How's it going so far?
It's actually going really well, very well.
Any additional questions for Kip or comments?
Nope.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kip.
Thank you, Kip.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Redevelopment's up.
Do you want me to take the hot seat?
Mike, could we
Yeah.
skip over that and take the judges so
No, we
they
don't.
don't have to
No,
wait?
I suppose.
We're going to be
No,
here.
it's on my minute.
Okay. Let's go to Circuit Court, Circuit
We'll come back to
Superior.
That's all right. Oh, look, it's the judges. Yay.
The judges. Good morning.
Good morning to all of you.
Yes, we
Not a
are.
problem.
No, we're
We
trying
would-
to
We're
force it
trying
through so
to
we can
make,
get home.
we're trying to make sure that you guys have a priority.
Ah.
You're welcome.
Make sure you turn your mics on, Chris.
Yeah.
And speak clearly, please.
Push
for
the little
record.
button and it'll be green.
Push the button and there you go.
Clearly.
Into the microphone.
Don't you have one of those in your court?
Okay, we're going to start at the top and work to the bottom, and I believe the first one is 0043. Am I correct?
The fund.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
That's the location,
It's the location of the account,
top left.
County General.
County General.
And then underneath it says 0043.
Salaries, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, underneath salaries.
Whenever you're ready.
What do you want to know?
I do have one question on the salaries.
Yes.
Where you have part-time, those are clerical positions, I assume?
Yes.
And are they doing similar things, whoever it is, if there's multiples, are they doing the same thing as other people in the office?
Right, they would be like, fill-ins for like secretaries,
Okay.
basically, or
Okay.
the court
That's-
administrators. Right. I'm not sure we use that this year, but that's what that is,
Yeah,
part-time.
you haven't used any since 20.
1,300.
How is
yeah.
that fun? Okay, we're working on trying to equalize part-times. I just want to be sure.
Are you ready to handle the twos and the threes then? Okay. I mean, everybody does it differently, but if you just want to handle your increases.
Okay, so the
Brief
increases on the legal directory are just the pass-through of the cost increases that we're going to get next year. That's basically for the library and for code sets and that kind of stuff for the judges. So our contract went up $300 a month, so that's $3,600 for our contracted things, and then we get some codes and such, probably costs a little more, so that's where there's a $5,000 increase.
Okay.
We didn't change anything that we're getting, we didn't increase any services.
Right, okay.
Court-ordered services, those are translators, guardian ad litems. What else? Well, you guys appoint some stuff. We appoint guardian ad litems.
I have a question on that one.
GALs.
I have a question on that one.
Yeah.
So item 31017, the court-ordered services.
Yeah.
We've already spent through June 33,403, and you're asking for 45 for the year. Do you think that's going to cover you? Because it looks like you might be closer to like 60-something or 70.
Man, I missed that because talking to Gina, she thought all our accounts were going to be in good shape and that through 7 months, we were looking good for the whole year and everything. So I missed that.
We had some unexpected expenses
Okay.
with a Spanish-speaking jury
Okay.
trial that was just inordinately expensive to bring in
Okay.
interpreters.
I just didn't
That's
wanna
not
leave
to
you
say we
short.
won't have another one of those, but that's not something we do every day.
Okay,
And you can't foresee when it's going to happen.
obviously, okay.
I forgot about that.
And I'm just curious because somebody else went through this earlier. The need for translators, they can only translate for 2 hours. So,
We bring in two of them and they alternate.
okay, so they both stayed there the whole time.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious how that worked, and I didn't ask that before, so thank you.
And the prosecutor also said that he had been trying to work with you folks on the translation. So maybe his part of the budget's going to pick up some
Yeah.
of what you got left for the year.
Well, he said it
He
was
said
somewhat
that
of a
shared
debate.
cost.
I think he said
Bickering.
I thought it was a little
And he also said that at certain cases they have to be a specific type of, is it certified type
They
of?
have to be certified.
Okay,
For a jury trial.
for a jury, okay.
Like Chin's cases, divorces, if it's agreeable by the litigants, we'll bring in Gamal Hernandez, or we have another woman, Lena Borns, who's interpreting for us. Far
just-
less cost.
Okay.
if
To
we
save
could do
money,
it.
I'll have them bring their own if they do it by
Yeah.
agreement.
Oh,
I don't have to pay
We
for
tried
it.
to have a
Oh,
family or friend do it if they get
Right.
by.
If they
Hey,
agree. and-
If they, you mean both sides agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
And Joni,
I'll
just,
bicker.
I'm sorry, to
Let's
just
go ahead.
clarify, the 2 hour, that may be technically correct, but when an interpreter is working a jury trial, it's a grueling, exhausting process. They generally trade off, I'd say, every 30 minutes or so. It's not a big enough, chunk of time, even if we wanted to try to maximize, moving it
Thanks,
back and forth.
that clarifies that a lot, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
They switch out fairly often just because of the mental
Yeah.
attention that's needed to stay on top of that. They do it simultaneously, and it's very exhausting.
thank you.
So,
All bickering aside, do you think that 40,000 is going to cover it, or, I mean, we
I would
can,
have my concerns, not even just interpreters. We have an increasing need for guardian ad litems.
okay,
And I use CASAs when I can because we don't pay them as much as a full
Right.
guardian ad litem. But when we need a really exhaustive investigation, guardian ad litems are the way to go. And
So maybe move that to 60 instead of 40?
I would feel more comfortable with that number for sure.
we have a motion on the floor to go
Wait,
60.
Sue-Ann has a
But they
comment.
have many other funds
Yeah,
that
that's
are
the other
not.
thing. We
Okay.
sometimes adjust them, and
And then they
that's
can
the thing
move
with
them.
talking to Gina about that, because
Can you talk
do you
into the
have-
mic?
so without talking to Gina, the plan may have been to
Adjust.
adjust.
Okay.
If you're looking at, you can probably see, are we off anywhere else? I think we're pretty good everywhere else, so that could have been the plan.
Well, it sounded like you guys said that in the beginning, that Gina
Yeah.
looked at that and she felt like
She felt like that was
what you guys put
okay.
down in your budget was going to be sufficient.
Okay,
Right.
Okay, so you withdraw your motion?
yes.
So under the part-time courts that you have not used any money since 20, you have 27,000, whatever the number is, I just moved my finger. 26,388.
Right.
And there's been no expenditure, so there's $26,000.
Right.
That's the part-time that was
Right.
referenced
Part-time
earlier?
court.
The one
No,
that's, yeah.
part-time court.
Part-time,
You have something
Yeah.
what is it called?
part-time, got it, got it.
We've not spent.
Oh, yes, that's what I was asking. Okay.
Looks like the next one is 31040. There's an increase of request of 10,000.
Yeah, so they, that is because the statute increased the jury pay. So all the jurors now get $30 for answering the call and $80 for every day that they serve, so it's about double. So that's why that was bumped up.
And the next one would be CASA 31046.
Yeah, that's just a bookkeeping thing, right? That's for the space that we provide them.
Okay.
So they get a budget and they fill in a number for that. And we just, we don't do any, no money exchanges hands, right? They get with their office space, right?
Right.
Provided in kind.
Okay. Any additional comments or
Do you,
questions on
do
this?
you not provide funding for CASA? I think that's what that money is. That's money that CASA gets to spend out of the
Yes,
budget.
it's a match for them, is the way I
Okay.
understand it.
Right.
They
Like a
get-
grant. You're
Like a
you're
grant.
giving them a
You're
grant.
giving them a
You guys are
grant.
giving them
Yeah,
a grant, right.
yeah. Yeah, you all,
Or a grant match.
out of your budget. We're giving it to them out of your budget.
We look generous, don't we?
I'm sorry. I have a question. On your 31060 court-appointed attorney, you have not increased the budget, but in looking at your expended amount from last year, you're only at 40,711. I don't know if that's something you could cut, or you
Well,
want to...
that's something, that may also be where the
A placeholder?
court-ordered services are going to come from,
Okay,
right?
okay.
That's my thought.
Just thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Okay, ready to move forward? All right, we're down to public defender services.
We haven't.
Oh,
have
that's
another
okay, that's the supplemental fund. And so, yeah, we're trying to use that. I can't remember if everybody's here on that, but we charge everybody $450 for a public defender, and if they're on probation and stuff, and we've been collecting those fees. And we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in there that we can't spend, basically, because it, but anyway, that's what that comes from. That comes from monies that we collect from the people that actually get the service.
Do you know about the balance? You said hundreds of thousands. Do you have any
It
idea?
was last, I don't know.
Would you-
Michelle always knew what she's done.
Sue Ann may know.
I can't remember.
Because
That was a lot, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
We're
It's a
looking,
lot.
we're
What's the
looking at
account
things
number?
that
It's
possibly
800
the
it's more than
legislation should
$800,000.
change, that we could use possibly somewhere else. And so that's just another situation where we're looking at funds that the legislation has put like a restriction on, that we could possibly expand the usage, so we could actually use it for
Well,
the
you're
cases
gonna-
that we need it for.
So Sue Ann said it's about 800,000 right now. And basically, we try to, we've got, so I'm hoping to use it, like in the future here, we have a deaf person that doesn't do signs, so when we have his jury trial, we have to do a stenographer, that they call it CART services, but it's translation, they just listen to the voice, and they immediately do a stenographer thing, which comes up on a screen. That's $190 an hour. And, for 3 days of jury trial, it's gonna add up. So that's the kind of thing that we can use this for. We were able to use it for that murder trial with Vicki Woldridge for some things, because that was out. We had to hire a public defender for her out of Allen County. So they let us use all of his fee was paid from that. But it's gotta be something out of the ordinary and unusual, or
Because-
we can't spend it.
Right, because don't in murder trials, don't they have to actually also have to be a certified type of attorney, or a certain type of an attorney that's
Well, yeah,
the
just in a capital.
education or registration or something like that?
Qualify.
Qualify, I'm sorry, that's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have someone who is deaf who does not sign?
Okay, we'll just say yes.
I'm just in shock how
We
you
don't
could
wanna-
get,
We don't want to,
No, don't say
we don't want to
Okay.
discuss the details.
Reportedly
Alleged
deaf.
hearing loss.
Allegedly deaf.
allegedly, I like that word.
Allegedly deaf, so.
Okay, next up is 33050 mediation, and there's really no changes there.
Yeah.
Do we have any additional questions or comments for the judges?
Is that another one you get but can't spend?
No, that one's not so bad, but this is the one we started a long time ago, and everybody pays, what is it, $20 for every dissolution is a fee, and that goes into there, and there's a mediation then for people that have modest means.
Modest means mediation, yeah.
Right, it's self-funded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that balance is only 53, I mean, only.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, but 53,000.
Only, okay.
Okay, thank you, judges.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Appreciate you having us early.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
have a
what you
great
do.
day.
Have a great day.
We appreciate your time.
I think so.
Thank you.
Good job.
You are trained.
I see Daryl's in the room. Do we want to go ahead and move him into the slot? Let's see, that was yesterday. Go ahead, come up and sit down. Welcome.
Thank you.
Veterans Service, here we go. The orange? It's right close to ours. Are we set? Well, and Kim, yeah, they're taking a break. That's okay.
It's cool.
Okay. Think we can do it before noon now? Hey, we're gonna be close. We're ready, ladies.
Thank you.
We've been summoned. Don't make them send the deputies to get us to show up. Veterans.
Well, Daryl, yours is very
He
brief,
was in the front.
and it looks like you only have one increase.
What color are you?
He is orange yesterday,
Got it,
Right.
got it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
okay? Yep. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, as you noted there is 22,022, that's the increase for identifying a veteran service. The easiest way is to have a logo when you're walking, so they can reach out. So it's kind of an advertisement, but it's also an outreach if they're in the area. I've been stopped a couple of times with some other shirts that I've had on in grocery stores. So that's when I first got the hint that possibly that's where I needed to go with
Do you
that.
have a logo?
I don't, but I'm asking some, over at Grace College, some of the ones that have a very good artistic.
program?
Art program to kind of come up with something that kind of incorporates, initially we were going to do just the county, the commissioner's seal, but when we put it up, it really doesn't jump out at you. So kind of listening to the Parks and
Kind
Rec.
of a boring seal.
I'm not saying it's boring, sir, but it doesn't meet the standards of the intent.
Doesn't make the, have an impact.
We're not the commissioners, we think it's
Yeah,
boring, yeah.
Seals are very important. I got that. And you talked about from the mileage, the stuff that you're seeing here is because I haven't processed that there. Did want to change much, but I see this being an increase with the change from a part-time to a full-time. But right now, I just wanted to go with the standard and then see where we go with that. The meetings and travel, that's another one that took place, and, part of it is the certification, and there's certain people that have to do those certifications, so you got to go to them. The dues and subscriptions, I think, need to dig a little deeper, but right now, you talked about I am a National Association VSO member, which is linked to the National Association for Counties. So, that the bill that is running through the Senate now is because we had an influence with them, and in turn, they were able to get to the commission. Now, that bill that I'm talking about relates to the question earlier, reference offsetting salaries type deal. But I can send you the verbiage, but right now, it passed the representatives, very large, I think it was like 401 to 10. It's right now on the Senate floor. Now, what it looks like, as you know, when they do their graphics, the verbiage that it went in may not be the same verbiage that came out. So until we get something that's concrete and passed, we'll be able to work that. And I'll be able to kind of clarify that and update the budget piece to see which way we want to go if there is a potential to offset some of the funding that the county is moving or paying right now for a veteran service. Right now, there is nothing in the state of Indiana.
All right, fair enough. Any questions or comments?
No, I think that was one of the bills that are coming up on AIC also, so we'll watch that
Yeah,
statewide. also.
1601, it's on the Senate floor, it's been proposed.
Isn't that federal, though? Federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, federal, yeah.
US, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. We're looking forward to that.
Okay.
And you would encourage anyone who has served to register as a veteran,
Oh, as long as they have,
DD 214?
well, as long as they have not been dishonorably discharged.
Right.
Okay. I'm just trying to remember, does the DD 214 say what kind of a discharge it is?
It does, ma'am.
I thought it did, so.
And in most cases, I won't see them
Okay.
because they know that they're not entitled unless they try to get an upgrade, which then I can assist them with paperwork, but I can't do anything else from there.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
See you Saturday.
Council. We're back to the back.
Okay, going to the back.
Extension, not here.
It's time for a break.
So do we want to go to the auditor?
We can do redevelopment.
Huh?
We can do
Redevelopment.
redevelopment.
Oh, that's right. Kind of passed over that, didn't we?
Uh-huh. Can I do
Sorry
that
about
from
that,
here?
Joni. You can do
Yeah.
that, yes.
Okay. I didn't know if you want me to be on the hot seat.
Oh, you're always on the hot seat, right?
Okay. The only changes that I made or am suggesting, and I will explain why, but there is money in the TIF accounts that I have asked to be transferred into the balances so that we do not have to come for an additional appropriation, because some of these projects, they really want to move, they think quickly on, and with our council meeting cycle, it could delay them 60 to 90 days to even get that money transferred in to be able to pay for some of the services that are being recommended by the Redevelopment Commission to help KEDCO and whoever is trying to do these new economic development situations, and even some of the prep work that has to be done to see if the soil is right, to see if they can actually build there, So I just went through and didn't take all the money. I left a balance in every one, but just asked for them to be transferred into a TIF projects so that we can access that money easier, because it can only be used for TIF projects occurring within that TIF district. And we can't use it for anything else. And it's going to continue to grow whether it's sitting there or sitting in county general. That part doesn't matter. So that's my request.
So Joni, it looks like on all of the different areas that you've just been consistent on all the different areas moving those funds.
Yep.
A lot of TIF dollars.
That's awesome.
And this is basically just preliminary engineering, planning.
Yeah.
things like that.
And this is money that's generated in those TIF
Yeah.
districts, and you're just having it allocated to those districts so that they can move quickly on anything that they need to do preliminarily.
Right, so we wouldn't need to do an additional appropriation or transfer and come before, because it just holds everything up.
Right.
I mean, that's bottom line, is its timing. And we have a request on,
Yeah.
that we tabled, that for one of them that they want to do something, and our hands would be tied because they wanted to start last month. And
Right, yeah,
so that just kind of brought it to the forefront.
right,
And if the council doesn't feel it's a good idea, that's fine. I mean,
yeah.
but this was just a suggestion to maybe streamline things a little bit.
These are all the same, it's all TIF money, right? All the requests.
And,
That's all we have is TIF money.
hey, Joni,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
quick question. I love this idea, and I think it's great that you've done this. Is there any way that you can shoot us the numbers of the balances in these accounts? Just email those?
Sure, we can do that.
Email the balances of
Rhonda?
those accounts?
Actually, I think those
They're
are-
all less than, oh, it's already on there, okay. I know that I didn't take it all, because it wouldn't make any sense to zero out an account. And there is money paid in twice a year from property tax settlements. Yeah, spring and fall.
Are we paying anything on a True Point? Do we have to give them money back? Do they have a bond?
They're paying the bond, right? We don't owe them anything,
Okay.
to the best of my knowledge. Any of them that have a negative balance, we did not ask for money.
They don't have negative balance.
Or any
None
of them.
None of,
I've got
Okay, any of them that are paying for a bond. We didn't ask for any money to be transferred, because that doesn't make any sense, because they have that bond obligation, and we really want them to pay that bond.
Can I ask a quick, oh, go ahead, Marcia.
Yeah. It would not. In fact, we have now started asking Steve Moriarty and Area Plan to attend every meeting, because what the TIF money is used for should be something that benefits the county. And I can't think of anybody better to tell us about the road conditions. And so we have started, and Steve has come willingly, and now Matt Sandy said he will attend every meeting also. And they will be notified when we're meeting, and so we can have their input. Because it's very limited for input, and, I mean, Marcia, you've always come, and, you know, but the thing is that Steve actually knows the roads. I don't know the roads. I mean, I can tell you what they put on it by how it looks, but that's the extent of it. Yeah, and, right, and that's another reason why, too, we have attorney fees, is because those kind of things, Adam is very well-versed, and so he helps keep us steered. Moving forward, there is a discussion of us needing a financial consultant. I don't know that that's going to happen, but we will have to have a budget starting December of 2024, effective 1/1/2025. We will have to have a budget saying exactly what we intend to spend every TIF dollar on, which they are arguing at the State House at this point that there is no way a TIF project can know what they're going to do with that money down to the dollar. So it's being battled, even though that it was passed. It was put into the Christmas tree bill, and got through. And so they are now re-looking at that. We're hoping DLGF is having a discussion. That's the best way.
okay, so we are paying a bond on Louis Dreyfus. We
There's
give
two
them the
accounts,
money to pay.
one with a bond and one without.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question too, Joni?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just, maybe I don't really understand the process of all of this, so that's why I just want a clarification. But in other words, so if they were going to do some sort of a project, they would normally come to us for like a preliminary, survey or whatnot, and we would have a little oversight, or is that not the case? So
No.
in other words, we're not skipping a step by doing this, where they would be coming to us for approval for something.
No, if it's TIF funds, it's totally under redevelopment commission jurisdiction. So
Okay.
we have the authority to spend those funds as we see fit for the redevelopment of our county.
Okay.
within that TIF district. It's very limited.
Okay.
So in other words, if we had a TIF district right here in the courthouse, just for example, and we TIFed it, well, we couldn't use that money if it was just the courthouse across the street in the Justice Building.
Right.
Even though there is some connecting thing, but that's a roadway thing, because half the road is on one and half is on another,
Okay.
is my understanding. But as a courtesy, I and whoever would be the president of the redevelopment commission should come before the council, should come before the commissioners if we're undertaking a major project, just as a courtesy to say, hey, we're buying into this project, and we just want you to know that it has the redevelopment commission's full approval and financial backing. Whether the money's here or whether the money is in, county general or wherever it's being held, wouldn't really matter on that point, because I feel strongly that communication is the key.
Right.
Because the commissioners don't want to know that we're doing some, I don't know, I don't think any of our balances are high enough, but saying $300,000 project that they had pegged that they were going to do. And then redevelopment funds come up with 1300 North is a perfect example. Marcia brought that to us because there was something that the redevelopment commission could do with excess TIF dollars to help put in that interchange. I'm not sure the exact, is it an interchange or is it a?
Extension, yeah. So they could do it all at the same time.
So-
Yes. Right. It was, and the commission was well aware of that, and the commissioners. And Carrie sometimes has come before the redevelopment commission. Another example, I think I just lost it, just a minute. Oh, no, they needed bigger sewers. Between Louis Dreyfus and the town of Claypool, there was not enough pipe capacity.
Yep.
So we, the redevelopment commission, entertained that. It was advertised. We had people come into the meetings, and we spent a lot of time with Mike Kissinger, and we ended up helping fund that project. So, but what we do is totally open to the public, and like I said, as a courtesy, we should always come before even if we don't need to transfer the money or do whatever that other thing, I'm sorry, whatever that other thing is we do to get money, additional appropriation. I knew I'd figure it out eventually if I keep talking. We should, as a courtesy, always let the council and the commissioners know. But honestly, the redevelopment commission does have the statutory right to spend whatever is in there as long as it fits within the guidelines of the law. What were you going to say, Michelle?
We could do the auditor.
Thank you. I've done this for a few years. I'm getting the hang of it. Okay, so did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Well, other than, okay, so you said that you were hindered because you didn't have this line item, and you needed to come in front of the council. That's what brought this up. It does,
It's just a matter of fast tracking.
Yeah.
okay,
It's because where the money is.
okay,
If the money's in a line item that we have the authority by law to vote to
Yeah.
spend, we don't have to wait for the money to be put in there for us to spend.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
We're just streamlining the process. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I guess I
welcome.
would ask the question of the rest of the council. I don't see a negative side to this. Am I missing something?
That's why I really wanted to bring it out
To
here.
me, this is a no-brainer then.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
That is not a vote in any way, shape, or form.
I know, it's just a suggestion or something. I don't know what we call it, but anyway, yes, thank you.
Okay, looks like
Extension
extension is not here yet,
Because it's
so.
not their time.
Auditor.
We have that.
Well, she's coming up. Joe?
No, it's fine, and I mean, I think, honestly, I would prefer that everybody ask questions. And all of our meetings are open to the public, and I mean, it would be really good if a person or two from the council wanted to come. Just because, well, and there's a lot of decisions that, yeah, that, I mean, it's always good for more people to know. You're welcome.
Hello, auditor.
Hello.
Okay, let's start with everything but the wages.
So we haven't increased anything as far as legal services. 31002, training and seminars, we left it the same. 36003.
Plat book fund, 1181.
That's just salaries.
Yep.
And then
4902. nothing
ineligible
changed there.
deduction. Everything's the same there.
Any questions, comments?
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Rhonda.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you.
Are we adjourned?
No,
Not
we
yet.
still
I
have wages.
know.
We still have wages.
And the extension,
Yeah.
and I emailed them, and I haven't heard anything.
Are we gonna do wages here?
And I hope he's prepared to be here.
See you late. We're early. I don't know.
Okay, we're early.
I just did.
Here for 5 more minutes.
Okay, that's good.
5 minutes, we got 5 minutes till he's
5 minutes,
scheduled. You want to
5
talk about
minute warning.
anything, Suzanne, or?
Just, if we could just go over just the positions that we've kind of talked about, just
On the
for
wage-
general discussion.
Okay.
So you guys had gotten this some time ago, but it was like a calendar. Anyway, in March, we had talked about the prosecutor's 2 positions. And this isn't anything the Wage Committee has done, but I just wanted to share. If you remember when Ann was here, and she's reduced her people by 2.
Right.
And then Ann went on to say, no, that work's all being done in the prosecutor's office now. Well, our original was give him one, let him decide which one he wants. Well, if she's giving up 2, perhaps it might be fair to give him the 2 that she's giving up as a trade-off for the additional work that office is having to do that had normally been vested in the clerk's office. Just a thought
Right.
for everybody to think
And they
about.
haven't hired anyone additional in 11 years, support staff, so that's huge.
So you're saying make the trade between the clerk's office to the
Because
prosecutor's
she's giving
office.
up 2,
Right.
we
Yeah.
give him 2. Just seems like that might be fair, especially since Ann volunteered
Correct.
that the work had transferred. And then in May, we had talked about the highway hiring a new person because evidently both of those girls plan to retire in March of '25. And we talked about allowing them some time across years so that they would have the person there would have the experience of working a whole year because their calendar is much like a lot of other offices. And so we were just recommending that we kind of split the year up, give them some money for '24,
yeah.
and then we also give them, obviously, whatever they're going to ask for in '25.
Yeah, because they're leaving in March of
March of
25.
25 is
Both of
planned.
them, both of the staff at the highway that has a lot of longevity.
Right.
I just think it's ironic that IT both walked out. They're both leaving.
Well, at the same time.
And the only other thing I have from the Wage Committee is y'all got a handout on some of the considerations that you just need to think about. And we will have one more Wage Committee meeting before our meeting with further, but I think we're getting close. Trying to rectify the part-time money has been pretty huge undertaking to try and determine, are they doing interlevel? Are they doing what everybody else is doing? Because most of those offices have great skill levels in what they're having to do, as opposed to the girl who's going to come in and help them file. So just trying to get those wages
And then
equaled out.
you'll update that and.
Boy, will I, well, we as the committee will update.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, and then
We've,
somebody's out there.
someone's out there.
I can see it flashing. Good morning, still.
Morning.
You're the one we've been looking for.
Make sure you turn your microphone on there, will you, please? Thank you.
Yeah, and what we've been doing, we've been not addressing the ones, but we've been addressing the twos and the threes. And especially if you have increases, we just want to hear what you have to say, what's your presentation.
Okay. So not a whole lot has changed from one year to the next for us, with the exception of a few items you've seen. As we talked about it in our extension office, you see a decrease in postage, and then that 250 added into an educational supply line item. Our postage need, it used to be by a bulk mail permit, and that need was through like homemakers and whatnot. And so that was one that they're finding new avenues to get their information out to their constituents, if you will. And so we took that and lowered it a little to move it into the educational supply line item, because we have a bunch of us in the office are new and finding that we're getting our specialty programming areas. And so there are some extra additional costs within this last year on educational supplies for those programs. So that's why you saw the 250 out of the postage and into educational supply line item.
Okay.
I have a question. Since you're already at 1212 for 2023 as of, mid-year, is 1250 next year going to be enough? Or is that just most of the education stuff is done in one part of the year, or how does that work?
Most of it is done for this year. We had a new educator in the building, like I said, this last year, and so she found a new specialty type of programming that she wanted to deliver compared to the ones in the past. So we did have a few extra costs there associated with getting that started up.
Any additional questions or comments?
I got nothing.
Yeah.
That was short and
That's
sweet.
right. I have a question.
Yeah.
What is your contracted services? I mean, what encompasses,
What does that go to?
makes up that?
Okay, contractual services are all the program-related fees that we would, like the infrastructure, the IT, the
Right.
professional development stuff,
Okay.
all of that. Part of that also is salary and fringes for benefits for Purdue employees as well. So it's a mix of delivering services to the county.
And that
And the
full
rent of the
amount
pa-
goes to Purdue.
And the rent of the fairgrounds?
No,
No?
that is completely
That's
separate.
completely separate?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
But all of that money does go to Purdue, am I not right? That's the assessment
Correct.
from
Right.
Purdue that this county owes to
Correct.
provide these services.
Which is that line 31001?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything further? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
rest of your day.
You also.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, with that, does the council have any further we need to do on record? If not, we'll adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a
Second.
motion to second to adjourn. All those in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Last year we got done in less than a day. I mean, it was a short day, but it was a day. So, do we have to advertise a wage and then yes. Well, go ahead and talk about this. But I don't know if she will, because she wants to see how much money we're gonna have. Well, you know what, we got money sitting in all kinds of accounts, we can't take care of our employees.